Is in a lane that I ain't never get to widen, but I could barely fit. I almost had to whip beside it. Cause Duke, I wasn't put here just to settle for the echoes. I'm more so sprinter trucks and dinner with the blodges. But still around the way, around the corner by the projects. The youngins on the reaches, Cardi B with them rockets. Or calling up Maria for a leader, maybe white, maybe tan, singing out like G&B as far as product. The girl and the boy, G&B. See the logic? If we debating Grammys, we even on a target. I'm targeting $1 and a way to make it dance. The iron need playing yin and yang with all its profit. Spoils to the victor, spoils to the victor. Zipping up a bag in the bag of lower rich. Zipping up a bag in the bag of lower rich. Said they try and aim it at whoever fit the pitch. I like it, maybe y'all, or maybe us, like maybe y'all, yeah, or maybe us, like maybe y'all, or maybe us. But do believe that when we up, spoils to the victor. Do believe easy as the truth could be. Mookie from the Jersey to the Jays, all beautifully. 40 in a mule or whatever, if we do agree. Easy as a stop and frisk, turn into a shooting spree. DT is jumping out the back, nothing new to me. Truthfully, I'll be more surprised when they ain't moving me. Said to zip a bag without trying to fit a bag. Like get the running with your bag and you'll be running to your eulogy. Graphic, pardon me. Let's just make a note of that. Snapchat etiquette, like I ain't mean to show you that. We be in the crowd that they seem to be around. So if it's cars to the audience, see this where Oprah at. Don't a day go by that we ain't trying to blow by. Complicated repeats, all of this is bow tie. First words we knew, buy low, throw high. Write it in your prayers, baby, know why? Spoils to the victor, spoils to the victor. Zipping up a bag in the bag of lower rich. Zipping up a bag in the bag of lower rich. Said they try and aim it at whoever fit the pitch. I like it, maybe y'all, or maybe us, like maybe y'all, yeah, or maybe us, like maybe y'all, or maybe us. But do believe that when we up, it spoils to the victor.
JB, what's good, fam? What up? What up? What up? No, those notifications. People, a few more minutes to come through. I know them notifications be very slow. What's good, fam? Kyrene, what up, baby? Chilling? How everybody doing, man? Been what, 2 weeks, right, since we went live. Gotta set my consistency up.
I seen you, bet that I seen you. I swear I caught the vision when nobody believed you. So I had to see you, came through to see you. I just won't kick you some shit, I won't keep you. All that you want, right?
Yeah, you can put those in there too. I'm bugging. Wild Card Saturday. Everybody locked into that, right? Well, not everyone, but who you liking, JB? I appreciate you, fam. All of y'all, man. Happy Saturday. You got the Jags and the Niners. Jags may win you some money, man. What's the odds on that? Not really. They only what, 1 point underdogs? What's the deal, family? How's everybody Saturday going? JB, you know, we're going to pin this right here at the top. I'm going to start at, because lyricism does matter. That's why we here chatting it up today. I want to speak about that, man. I know a lot of y'all have a lot to say, so I'm going to open up the lines as well. Who y'all listening to currently, though? Sky Zoo, yeah. That boy's spitting, man. It's amazing how nobody really talking about the project. I'm not gonna say no one, but you would think that for all the individuals who speak about the need of people paying attention to the little things, right? Like pushing your pen or content matter or just the culture as a whole. He would be someone that people would speak about often. Kid gets no love, man. Not the way he should. And not to mention, he's been carrying that flag. He's been traditional hip hop since the day he stepped through the door. I became a fan around the Cloud Nine era when he did that project with Ninth Wonder. So that's like what 05, 06. I know he had signed with Jamla first. Like his first album was First Generation Rich and Jamla. That was what 07. So he been carrying that flag very well, man. But he don't get no love. But this new project, I know it's been less than 20, about 24 hours, but I know good music when I hear it. And this is one of those projects I'm gonna keep going back and forth to define different things because it's just, it's rewarding as a fan of hip hop as a whole. Even if it was someone else I didn't necessarily listen to, just to see that he cares that much. I was like, yo, that's fire. That's fire. Skyzoo is from Brooklyn. And he rep Queens, so he grew up in Queens as well. But I think he was born in Brooklyn, and throughout his music, I think he said his mom, maybe it's possible to Queens, and we go back and forth. But he's from Brooklyn. That's why he always paying homage to like the Spike Lees, and yeah, he's from Brooklyn for sure. And he had he's tried or checked many different boxes. I remember when Skyzoo, before he was Skyzoo, he was on 106 in Park, Freestyle Friday, battling for real. So that's why I said you got to find yourself, man. And he found his niche, and he's doing his thing, man. I don't think there's any other artist that I've ever come across that has more conceptual albums than he does. I mean, like he tries different things from the fatherhood standpoint to the current album when he's, from the point of view of Franklin Saint from Snowfall. He has so many different albums, man. Theo versus JJ, Theo from Cosby Show versus JJ from Good Times. He pushes his pen, his imagination, man. For sure, RIP Gangsta Boo. It's crazy, man. Like, Saying. What's good, y'all? So I want to start off today, right? A question. We can tear the chat up, or if you want to call in, that's fine too. What is the criteria for an elite MC? I was thinking about that yesterday, because I was saying like there's a lot of dudes out here who are dead nice, but they don't get any love. And I'm trying to figure out. Well, we know marketing comes into it, but there's some dudes out here that people are aware of. They speak their names, but when it comes to different conversations, they never mention them. So what's the criteria for lyricism? Is it content? Are you a person that cares about, double syllable rhymes? Does it have to have 3 or 4 maybe double entendres within each verse? Does flow matter? What is the criteria for an elite lyricist? Charisma, all right. So what's the number one thing? Number two thing, because first of all, you got to start with this, right? You got to have a pen. You got to be able to rhyme or write, I should say. So we got techniques. Okay. So give me an artist that you would consider that has, because when you're speaking of techniques, I'm guessing that's the obviously the technical part of it. The way you may start a song or flows or just writing patterns, content. Okay. So we're along the same lines. So who would be someone outside of the person that we all can agree on? Like, so we're gonna take Nas off the table. We'll take Rakim off the table. We'll take Lupe off the table. Jay, whomever. The obvious ones off the table. Black Thought. Who would be an artist that meets that or fits that criteria? I'm trying to figure out, is the things that we look for, is it obtainable? Can it be reached? Has the bar been set so high that we won't allow people to reach it, or is it laziness? Because honestly, I think it's laziness as a whole. Got a few cats out there that's getting busy But I'm just trying to figure it out, man. We'll have some discourse today. Syntax. Okay. We use the words. Okay. That matters. Content. Okay. Comment. Comment is definitely in there. Comment. All right. So let's name who was a new. See, we went through this maybe 2 weeks ago because even like the Coles and the Kendricks, they're not like babies anymore within the game. It just feels that way, right? Because the guys we grew up in are still active. But who could carry that torch? Cole. Okay. So I see JV mentioned Cole. All right, we'll give Cole that. So do you think that even with lyricism, right? Because when we speak about lyricism, right, the next step typically is what? Most cats would say, if you got lyrics like that, you gotta have a classic album, right? Because we spoke about content, techniques, subject matter. So in order for that to happen, can a person be considered an elite lyricist without having a relationship with I don't know, maybe not even relationship, synergy with a dope producer? Is a dope producer needed for an MC to get the recognition that they need today? Devon, what up, family? I'm just trying to figure it out. There's no right or wrong, but these are things that come through my mind often, like wow, because there's so many different artists out there, and people always say, "Yo, no good artists out there." Yes, it is. It's kind of like when you're making beats, right? You know how many samples or records you may come across where there were only probably 20 or 30 of those records created? It's like an indie artist, you know what I'm saying? So there, you just have to find the gems. When someone is sampling and they come across a sample, 10,000 other producers may have heard that before, but their ear snatched it and made it flip it, right? So my whole thing is, I think there's plenty of music out there, but do we go searching for it? As consumers, do we become lazy? Because we know, like, you can look at the calendar, right? And some artists are already stated when they're dropping. So now you're like, all right, I know such and such drops in March. I'm good for at least 3 to 4 weeks with that project. In April, oh, they dropping. Maybe 2 weeks, I'm good with that. Are you on the constant quest for dope music? Yes, some artists need a producer to understand them. Yes. Okay. So give me an artist currently who fits that build or that particular thought or train of thought. I'm not calling nobody. I just want to know, man. I'm here to learn as well today too, because I may come across some artists I'm unfamiliar with, or I may have heard or didn't take the time to listen to them enough. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you talk about brave. Hold up. When will someone be brave enough to do an acapella song? Well, a song may not be a stretch. I can see that happen. Well, we've had, I don't know if they still press up acapellas, do they? Remember, use about a vinyl or even a single, right? The other side, B side would be like an acapella or something like that. Is that even a thing anymore? I know people are selling vinyl, but I don't know if they're giving out acapellas like they used to. So I've come across that. Or even when Jay did the Black Album, that's how Swiss was able to sample on the T.I. records. Ask about me, all that. I'm a hustler on the Cassidy joint because the acapella was available. But I don't think every artist, first of all, I think that would show a lot of limitations and weaknesses within a lot of people too, because we spoke about production and choosing a dope producer. Sometimes you can hide behind a producer. Not all the time. It doesn't have to be 100% of the time, but sometimes a producer can drive a song. It happens a lot. So I don't know if that was some acapellas. I would prefer to read the artist's lyrics because that's another telltale sign of whether or not they're a dope lyricist. So I pretty much answered my own question with regards to, does an artist need a producer or that synergy to make a classic album? Obviously, they need, both parties need each other, but I don't know if I could listen to an acapella album. JB, you think you can do that? Would it come across like spoken word? Yeah, Robert Gout, Gangsta Boo. Yeah, she died, fam. A little over like a week ago, right? Denzel Curry. Yeah, I was saying, you know what? Denzel Curry. I'm gonna write that name down because I see his name a lot, and I'm not gonna act as though I'm an expert when it comes to his music. I've heard it. I remember a while back he did a project. I know Cardiac had some production on it. I heard a couple of those songs. But last year, I think he dropped the album. Right, there were quite a few people who were upset that he wasn't in the top 5 albums of the year or top 10 artists. Yeah, I've seen some feedback with that. So I'll write that name down. Simba. Okay, we'll write him down. Now, is he Simba? Is he an indie artist? Like, give me a fire song that he released. Because I'm gonna check all of this out. Because I think it's important that we can speak about all the dope artists. We can all have be in agreement of who's hot, who's not. But there's so many different artists that no one ever speaks about that takes the time to craft. I mean, solid pieces of art, and people don't talk about them. And I'm glad that I was able to come across artists that were able to, get over that hurdle. Like someone like let's say even Little Brother at the time, right? At that time, they weren't supposed to be who they were. They didn't sell a bunch of records, but they were able to get the music in certain hands and align themselves and get the relationships. And we got maybe, I know the first 2 albums were classic in my opinion. So there's ways to hear the music. Sometimes it's a cosign and sometimes it's word of mouth, right? But eventually, cosign's gonna wear off. You got to come with that heat, that work ethic. And that's what leads me to Skyzoo, man. The Mind of a Saint, fire album. I woke up today energetic, like, yes, hip hop is in great hands. It's January, 2 weeks in, and we got a fire project already. Something you can sit with and you can digest and learn different things and just techniques, like we spoke about, content matter. He worked with one set of producers. The other guys, I think they're from DC. They've done work in the past. Solid project, man. And no, I'm not getting paid for this, man. I'm just thought it was important to share that with people, man. Grand Puba. Is he really underrated though? He's like a king of flow, right? Like when we talk about presence on the track, isn't that an automatic top 5? Am I bugging? Grand Puba. When you think about someone and their presence on the track, flow, I mean effortless too. It just sounds like it flowed like water. Different. And he's respected by everyone. Everyone. Simba got an ill song called Goat. Let me check that out. Wrote that down. Listen, man. You learn from everybody, you heard? Lucky Lefty. So where do you rank Grand Puba? Did you consider him a lyricist? Because that was my initial question. Like, what's the criteria? How do we develop or come to an agreement of what's a lyricist? Because even that word nowadays, right, it has like a negative connotation. I was on Twitter not too long ago, right? So speaking about lyricism, and people were trying to switch lyricism into some rapidy rap term. No. That's not that. And that's that laziness I be talking about. Instead of pushing your pen and attempting, or even fans listening to accept more, people are trying to turn something that was so pure and great into like a stigma so that they can give us, I don't know, subpar work. No, lyricism will always matter. It will. If it's not the forefront, it ain't hip hop to me, man. Lyricism, dope beats and rhymes. At the end of the day, when it comes to the music aspect of hip hop, that's where it began, right? It got dope beats and rhymes. At least that was my entry point. Obviously, you got graffiti and breakdancing and fashion, but lyricism will always matter. So this whole notion that, yeah, there is rapidy rap, that does exist, but someone being a lyricist is not that. It's not that. Cats, they're getting lazy. I'm telling you. And as a consumer, I get worried sometimes. Like, oh, you're not, nah. I don't want that project again. Like I stated earlier, Skyzoo, all those dudes, the dope boy rhymers, the plug talk, that's cool. I respect that. That's your lane. He showed them how to take that content and make it a concept, push the art. There's no reason why an artist should have 5, 6, 7 different albums about moving work, and they never thought about doing it from another point of view, or even, and not the stereotypical joint too, like Scarface. No. Television series that most people are aware of. I don't watch it, but I know of it. And now I'm going to go back and watch it because of the references that he made. And I remember him speaking about that in the interview with Talib Kweli about that very show, because he was a Wire dude who loved The Wire. And he was asked about how do you compare the two? And he gave a great breakdown. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And to see him do an album around that, fans, consumers, let's not accept any more laziness. There's artists out here who can do that. They just choose not to. Here we go. You notice Nas reducing his curses. Yes, he's less vulgar for sure. I didn't even pay attention to it. And now that you mention it, is it maturity? It has to be maturity, right? Because as you get older, you're all of our vocabulary expands in some capacity, right? I would think, right? So, or at least you make a conscious effort not to speak in that way. Some people, depending upon what room they're in, they do that. But yeah, I think that's another way of him, if it's true, and because I don't even pay attention to it, but now that you mentioned it, most of the latest projects, you don't really hear that cursing and things of that nature. So that's the challenge probably that he made within. Because how many cats use the N-word just to finish off every bar? Because they cheating. They're being lazy. You got to push yourself. If hip-hop and lyricism and writing is based on words, how are you not trying to expand the very thing that is needed to be great? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, KD3 is definitely dope, but not excessively profane. Even when he's talking about relationships, right? He didn't. Her name was, oh, well, I don't kiss and tell. Like, go back to even his earlier works, right? He never really took it that far. But as you stated, as he's gotten older, he's gotten better at that. It's easy to just curse every bar, man. There's so many words that, just like we're speaking about samples, people have never, wasn't many records pressed up. Words are infinite. You know what I'm saying? At least in the way that we can consume them, everyone will never know every word. And if you did learn every word in one language, there are so many different other languages. So it's like, yeah. But thank you for pointing that out, JB. That's fire right there. And that's encouraging, right? And that's something that I will be conscious of too. Like, yeah, keep expanding your vocabulary in the way you deliver, or even partake in conversations. Yeah, he's probably the first artist that really came to mind when you think of a no profanity and being vulgar. Rakim. Because people from his generation, like my uncles, they always speak of that. Like, he's nice and he don't got to curse. I used to always hear that when I was younger. And you was like, so what does that mean? But it means a lot. It means a lot. And also, when you do that, you make your content friendly to all ages. In some capacity, you could be using other words, like if you're speaking about firearms and things of that nature. Yeah, but I get that. But when you're not saying curse words, most people can tune in and not have to cover their children's ears. You know what I'm saying? Yo, you know what? This is very simple, but it's real because this is the way I think. The artists I like read books. It's just that simple. And you can tell who reads. You can tell who reads. First of all, their content is always evolving. Always. Adriel, salute, family. Always evolving, man. It's always evolving. And when I mean evolve, I know I use the word conceptual or concept albums a lot. It doesn't always have to be that, but we'll use Nas again because he's always the standard in some estimation, right? 2001, Stillmatic. Second Childhood, 2022. Once a Man, Twice a Child. Always evolving, trying different things. All right, even if I don't have anything to write about, I have so many songs in my catalog to where I can bridge two songs together. These other cats don't even think outside the box. And that's why I'm worried about the lyricism aspect, because they're trying to put a stigma on it. Like it's rapidy rap. It is not. What we got here? It Was Written is his best lyrical performance, but there's lots of off-putting language. Yeah, it is. It is. And at the time, he was a young man, right? What are we talking? Is he 22 at that time? Something around there, right? And that's what I stated earlier when a video I posted. Like, we're supposed to evolve with artists. And a lot of people were stagnant because their favorite rappers or people they grew, the music that they love, they're still talking about the same stuff they were talking about 20 years ago, and you stuck there with them. We got to evolve. Like Devon said, I like artists, that read books. And that reading is just not enough with any one of us. Anything you learn, it don't mean a damn thing if you don't apply it, right? So I can read every book and get all the knowledge I need and, uplifting words and affirmations. The list goes on and on. If I don't apply it, what does it mean? So you can see the artists that have evolved over time. Look how they came in the game and look where they are now. Now you can always have that edge because that's who you are. That's your environment. You are who you are. But evolution got to be part of the plan, man. It has to be. Dame, what's good? What do you value more in rappers? Entendres or imagination? Imaginary. Okay. Imagination. Well, I'm even pretend like I got to think about that. All that double and triple entendre and your mans and them got to be breaking it down. Listen, rap shouldn't be complicated. It shouldn't. Nas Rewind. It's a great concept, subject, imagination, creativity. Everybody can't do it, but when you really think about it, some of us walk forward and walk backwards every day or working out, things of that nature, right? He wrote a song backwards. It's not overcomplicated in the sense that no one should have ever thought about doing it. It just takes time to do it. So I think with double and triple entendres, like people try to make them sound deeper than what they really are. And half the time it ain't even fire. Now that's that rapidy rap I be talking about. But that's not lyricism. Because some of the stuff that they push on you to be so great and complex, you'd be like, son, that ain't even fire. What you talking about? That's not fire. So I'm taking Wayne, you're right. Execution for sure. Because everybody we can all think of the same things, but executing and finishing and completion in the right way. Yeah, that's definitely the frame of mind I'm on too. So I'm taking imagination every trip. Think of all the great ones, man. What we got? You know what? I want to start here, right? Because just that word alone, guru alone, last year kind of turned me off, and I'm gonna keep saying that. And maybe that's where my passion comes from regarding the entendres. But could someone please, what's the most fire double or triple entendre you've ever come across? And I'm not even trying to be funny, because that's an aspect that I never really pay attention to. I know Jay got quite a few. I can't really name them offhand, but some of them have been pointed out to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fire. But you don't really need that. You do need content. You do need creativity. Your imagination has to go places, right? Especially if you're going to write from a different standpoint. And maybe that's the issue, right? some rappers, MCs are lacking imagination. And how do you evolve your imagination? Or how do you enhance it? Or how does it increase? Devon said it. By reading. Just think about it. It always comes back to the basics. You got to read. They matter most when they say something. Yeah, I agree. But half the ones that are pointed out, it don't really jump out to me like that. But maybe that's, everyone has their own I don't know, their preference of what they like with regards to music and uh especially hip hop. For me, some guys like the 4 bar setup, right? Like the battle rap style. 1, 2, 3, 4, punchline. 1, 2, 3, 4, punchline. That's not my thing. I don't like filler. Don't waste no bars, fam. Let every line matter. Let every line matter. Because at the end of the day, if you read, right, you like to read books, music becomes an audio book, right? You want to be able to set that table so that I can see everything. It's a wonderful thing. Listening to an album should be no different from listening to a book on Audible, depending upon who the artist is. That's just my opinion. Here we go. What's good, fam? Tandre's a more wit and being good with puns, but I prefer imagery. Yes. Yes. And don't get it twisted. Just because I prefer one over the other doesn't mean that Tandre's, I guess, some people don't, or it doesn't matter. But for me, that's not a criteria that I'm checking off to solidify a song as being a classic or a verse. Sometimes you can get straight to the point. Straight to the point. I know Lupe I was reading something when he stated that he had like a whole formula behind creating those. And it never really jumped out to me because it's not something that I'm really into. But if I can come across the link, I'll definitely put it in the community post, because some dudes are scientific in that way. Like, they're not trying to show off in a sense. That's just the way that they write. But for me, what I grew up on and what I like, it's just not at the top of the totem pole, for lack of a better term. For the recognized using Tandres. I definitely agree with that. But if you told me to start naming them, I probably couldn't, because that's not the bars that jump out at me. So I guess criteria is based on preference too, right? Because some people look for that, so they'll catch it right away. For me, I like the imagery. Like, I seen a dead bird flying through a broken sky. Like, oh, what does dude just say? Hold up. And rewind that back. And sometimes there's a line leading up to that you missed. So that's the type of stuff that jumps out to me, What we got here? Pac said, I'm making ninjas hop on their toes like Alvin Ailey. Does that count as a double entendre? Either way, that was light. Either way, that light was fire. Okay. What do you guys think? Making ninjas hop on their toes like Alvin Ailey. Would you consider that to be a double entendre? How do you even pronounce? Is it entendre or entendre? It's entendre, right? I hear it said both ways. Perspective matters, yo. Matters is the word of the day. Lyricism matters. Content matters. Creativity matters. Subjectivity matters. Perspective matters. Pen matters. This is an interesting I like this. Nas is like a southpaw lyrically. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what his style is and to mimic it. That's true. And I think that most artists could be that. It's always going to be different tiers and layers and of someone got to be the big dog in the room, but it doesn't mean that everyone else shouldn't aspire to add that to their arsenal. Which goes back to your original point. These cats nowadays are lazy. Who's spitting? Like, who's the spitter right now? I want you take Nas off the table. Take anyone that came out in the last 10 years, right? And you have someone who wants to be introduced to hip hop. And they say, yo, what's good, fam? Who should I listen to? You gotta take Nas off the table. No Pac, no Jay, no Big, no Jada, no Styles, no AZ, no Common. None of them. None of the obvious artists. Who should they listen to? I know that name is coming. Cole. Cole probably gonna probably be what? One of maybe 3 names mentioned. Because he checks all boxes. Shout out to Lucky Lefty. Nick Grant. Right there. I tell kids to listen to Joey Badass. Brooklyn's Own. Had a nice album last year, 2000. I like that. Shout out to the whole Pro Era. That's another group that people forgot about. That revisionist history. Because Griselda wasn't the only ones doing boom bap. Pro Era was outside. Sky Zoo was outside. Flatbush Zombies was outside. It was quite a few artists doing boom bap, man. Joey get busy. I like that 2000 from last year. I like how he it was a grown man album, you know? And I like how he used the skits to bring it all together, like having like an MC or having someone get on the mic and give them his crew their flowers. I think Nas is on there, yeah, Diddy on there. It was fire. I like that. Silk. Here we go. Listen, man, the next individual I'm about to put on the screen is a hip hop historian. Get busy. Prime example is Black Republicans. Jay was killing the flow and the Tandres, but when Nas said, standing on the roof of my building line, then the whole song shifted for me there. Imagery. Now, okay, that's a great point. And I have a question to throw on top of that. Does the imagery have more replay value? Because can like double entendres get stale? You know how when you listen to I hate to say it, Nature, right? I love Nature. But if you listen to some of his verses now, he made a lot of references to things at that time, like playing Sega Dreamcast and things. So when you using certain content or using certain techniques, does it make your music or the songs or whatever sound dated? Like as an artist, do you think they should be conscious about the things that they say? Because you can make a reference to something, but you have to do it in a unique way, right? Like Nas mentioned Nintendo Duck Hunt on KD3, right? It was like a nostalgia feel, right? It doesn't feel, I don't think it'll feel dated later on down the road, but some people make references that come across dated. So the question really is, double entendres or different techniques or certain techniques, can it hinder the song? Because imagery never really works against you. Creativity doesn't work against you. At least in my estimation, those who have tried to be creative, it's either people don't get it at the time, but later on you think back on it like, hold up, that was years before its time on this one. Okay, so imagery is connecting emotions. Emotions drive music. Yes, so I pretty much answered the question, right? That's what's gonna get you through. That's the connection to you and that artist, right? Whether the time, place, relationship, your aspirations, your goals, to the imagery. Okay. Q-Tip said he stopped shouting out the year because music is infinite. Wow, that's simple and profound. I like that. That's dope. Now that yeah. I can understand that. It is infinite in a sense. Well, not in a sense, it is infinite. I can see why he would do that. And that's ironic coming from a person who makes timeless music, right? That's dope. MC was good, fam. People's obsession with entendres or entendres seems trendy because Jay mentions it. However, it is a a dope technique when writing. I think it is dope. It's dope, but it's not something that I look for. So, because I know a lot of Eminem fans seem to hop or harp on that as well. Do you think people use it as a reason for not attempting to be creative? Like you can just check that box. Yo, I may be talking about the same thing over in time, but I had 8 different entendres in the joint, so the verse was hot. Instead of mentioning the fact that you did the 25th song about the same thing. Lucky Lefty, hold on. A bunch of comments I got to get to. I disagree with Q-Tip on that. Hearing the year lets the listener know what the atmosphere for the rapper was during that time, their emotions, etc. Just my opinion. I can't knock that either. It goes both ways, right? But like I said, I think you can say a lot of things and make it give it a nostalgic feel in the sense where it won't sound dated, but you can some things later on down the line, you'd be like, why do you say that? But as an artist, I guess you're just trying different things. So is there a right or wrong answer? No, I think each listener has a preference, but I think there should be a criteria for certain things, man. What we got here? Fly degrees, 20 pointer on the chain. I freaked it. That's Esco. Is that Esco? This is my favorite part of music as a listener, storytelling, right? Because I think many people can do many things, but not many cats want to walk through that door because they're not very good storytellers. And in the sense that, obviously we have the elites. We're gonna take Esco off the table, right? Because he's a cheat code in a lot of things, right? Who would be the next storyteller? Next great storyteller? For me, like, although Jay's in my top 5, I don't like his stories. And maybe I'm gauging it against maybe Nas, but I don't like his stories. Like, for one, there's a song on Blueprint 2, Meet the Parents. People go crazy over that. First of all, the beat sounds dated, but it just sounds like, you ever read someone's essay and it just sounds like a bunch of run-on sentences? Like, fam, you could have ended this like 3 paragraphs ago. It's like you're trying to just meet the word requirement. That's what some of Jay's storytelling songs come across as to me. Not very in depth. Oh, DMX, Slick Rick for sure. Ghostface and Big. Okay. Scarface of G-Rat. Liz, good afternoon. The details and the stories matter. Yes. Got to give that syntax, right? You have to grab the listener. It's an audio book at that moment. It's the little things. It's the little things. Some cats, they're too vague. And it's not like they can't do it. I just think that they're lazy. Cube is a dope storyteller. Storytelling is cool, but it's like reading a fictional novel. It depends who's writing. Some dudes like spit true reality. Like, I think 50's Ghetto Quran is a masterpiece. Especially if things happen in the same city that you grew up in. Like, so the stories that goes along with it. And someone took the time to give the details and things of that nature. Like, storytelling can be both fiction and nonfiction. But everyone can't do it because they're not willing to take the time that's required to be great at it. It's not easy. Oh, yes, it was. Yo, ever so often, it seems like every 3 to 4 years, that story pops up in an array of different interviews, right? And everyone has their own account of it. Figs, I got a story to tell. It was true. I think maybe like 2 years ago, that joint was popping up everywhere in a bunch of different podcasts. I'll give you that. Let me start writing down these joints, man. Because listen, man, I learned so much from all of you. And the only way music gonna last is if cats keep sharing the dope stuff, man. And stop complaining about what's whack. And start talking about that heat. Okay, I just seen the name there. Would y'all consider GZA to be a pretty solid storyteller? It's not a lucky lefty. It's not a legend. That's that story, yo, man. That story's ever telling you every 3 to 4 years, or even sooner. That story continues to pop up. Eminem Stan, yeah, that's a great story. That may be Eminem's his a top 3 song in his discography. Now, replay value is a whole different other thing, but think about it. Just like Ether, we got to stand. Like if you're obsessed or you're a stan. So he kind of changed the definition of a word in a sense, or created one. I would agree. I missed a comment, but someone said, "Oh, that was the real Leonard Washington." Yo, what's good, fam? Pac was an underrated storyteller. Brenda's got a baby. Do for love. Baby don't cry. Shorty want to be a thug. Listen here. Recently, I did a poll, right, asking when did you become a Pac fan? It was, the options were pre-death row, during death row, or after 96, after he perished, right? I may lose the whole room right now, but I'm transparent like that. I wasn't a fan, but I wouldn't even say a fan. I didn't truly appreciate Death Row Pac the way I loved pre-Death Row Pac. Pre-Death Row Pac was, when you really think about it. He was what, 20, let's say between 24 and 26 when he died, right? That's 96. So let's go 3 or 4 years before that. These kids were just becoming legal. Literally. And the songs that he was writing were amazing. It was amazing. And you compare that to what we get nowadays from the same age group. Laziness. They're lazy. Pre-Death Row Pac, not to say he lost his talent, he just lost his focus, kind of shifted, right? He, in a sense, you are what you hang around. You got it. We all know the stories. I can't get into that. I wasn't there, but I know the first time or the first couple of times I heard him and I was introduced to him as a young kid, Brenda's got a baby and things of that. You would never hearing stuff like that. At least not for me. It was there, but that was normal for him. He was tapping into that early. So when people say he's top 5, I can understand that for sure. But I always keep in mind that pre-Death Row Pac is the GOAT Pac. That's just me. What we got here? And I ain't even mentioned, Jonathan, you're right. Pac may have more entry points than anyone. Like when you think about when you liked him, pre-Death Row, Death Row, after 96, got the movies, like different. Brenda was a dope story, but I never liked the song. I can appreciate that, but that's what creativity is, though, right? So it kind of like, for me, sometimes I'm willing to not take away too many points on execution when you willing to touch on different things that others are timid about. You know what I'm saying? Like how many cats were doing stuff like that? Or even to this day, the percentage isn't very high. There's so many different things to talk about. Or maybe the execution is what a fear of execution is the reason why they fall back from it, because they don't want to feel as though they fall flat on their face. So they'll give you the same drink over and over. But there's something about pre-Death Row Pac. I still listen to this stuff to this day. And this is not even the East Coast, West Coast bias thing. I just thought like it just shifted off a little bit. And I wasn't that type of energy. I was a young boy. He was young. They was all young. So, but what he was on before that, son, nice with it. We at Pac blew once he became self-destructive. Why? Yeah. It's so many different stories to that. Like that's a complex. His whole life. Think to be such a young man, there's a lot of complexities within that, man. And now you got a lot of these cats. I'm not gonna say now because they've been eating off him for quite some time. Platforms, those in the entourage, been doing the same interviews for about the last 10 to 12 years. You never really get the answers. So, for the most part, what's blowing up? You mean in the sense of becoming a nationwide figure? Because he was tapping into something before that. It's the reason why they wanted him over there. Juice is pre-Death Row, right? He was going to be a star regardless. But we are what we hang around, right? Like what Jim Rome said. What you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So it happens. I never liked Pac's production until Me Against the World. Listen, oh yes, we were talking about if a relationship or synergy, a certain synergy is needed between a producer and an artist to make a classic album. Listen, this is during Death Row, right? Because I thought about this earlier this week, because people never talk about this tandem when they talk about chemistry. Tupac and what is his name? Passed away. Johnny J. They got some joints together, man. Outside of the roots, Pac may be one of those individuals who attempted, I don't know if it was a conscious decision to make live instrumentation the thing in hip hop. He always had guitars in a sense. They would try different things with live bass. Like he was innovative in that way, but that may be the West Coast because that's what they do to this day. When most cats are getting samples replayed, they're going to see rants from 1,500 or nothing. Like they're going out there to get those musicians because they never let that go. Dre brought the live bass, the clean sound with the Chronic, you know, so that's something they do out there. I love them for championing that. Like that's fire. I love live instrumentation. But Pac and Johnny J, they had a nice chemistry or synergy, man. Johnny J get busy. Well, God rest the dead, but God bless the dead. But yeah, he was nice. Great 88. What up, fam? Pac was a nomad. He didn't have a steady crew from the Sandbox, which led to his downfall. Could you imagine having that much power at that age? I can't. Like sometimes I think about, I have like a little empathy for them. Like they had to wear so much. I'm talking about Big Pac, right? At that time, being the faces of, you know, different sides of a nation. Could you imagine being younger than 25, 26 and all that's on you? It's going to either, that power is either going to make you go crazy or you're going to fall back from it. Or it's going to make you that uncomfortable to where you're never yourself again. K.A. David. Pac was the first rapper I saw perform with a live band. It was at, are you referring to the House of Blues joint? That's the first time I seen that too. Was that an unplugged? Or was that something that he did on his own? Another historian here. Yes. Live instruments was heavily in the mid '90s from the West Coast and South, and it adds a different thing to the production, right? Like what Cube was doing on quite a few records, but you know how we do it. That's my joint. Now, when you listen to that regular sample, it sings to you. It's pure, it's soulful. But the link with QD3, which is Quincy Jones' son, and they, just replay it and put the live guitars on it. It's wonderful, man. Something about it. West Coast, man. When it comes to production, people always lock into Dre. Dre is who he is. That's who he is. But you got the Quicks, the Battle Cats. You have QD3s. There's so many different cats. Johnny J's. The list goes on and on. The list goes on and on, man. Quality music. And it doesn't sound dated. Go back and listen to some of those albums. They still jump out at you. That wasn't unplugged, right? So it was the I know it was live at the House of Blues, right? It was something like that. Oh, even before House of Blues? Oh, so you literally seen them live. Like you was in the building. Quick is who he is. Daz, yes. That dog food album is listen, I'm not even gonna say that's an album people don't talk about. Those who know. But you better know about that. That joint is fire. Yes, sir. How we do? Listen, man. That joint is like you when that come on, at least where I be, I get the same energy of like when you put on Frankie Beverly or something at the cookout. Like it just got that feel, man. And it's a known. Is that an Evelyn Champagne sample? No, it's a Patrice Russian, I think. Yeah, I think that's a Patrice Russian sample. People know the song, and the fact that they just replayed the sample and kept the same element. And back then, when they were sampled, the drums they wouldn't kind of move away from the original foundation. Now it loses kind of like even when um Beyonce did over the Frankie Beverly Before I Let Go. It's cool, but ain't nobody gonna tell me it's better than that. Some young cats tried to because it took away from the element. You trapped it out. It don't have that same feel. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm trying to keep the peace in here. Y'all see, yo, I'm trying to be very diplomatic, but I knew it was coming. That NY always come out, man. Nah, they was kicking over. Nah, man, I feel you too, though, man. Nah, it's funny to laugh at now, right? What we like, what maybe 28 years removed from that? That's crazy, right? Time flies, but that was a different kind of time, man. That was a different time. Shout out to the QB for stepping up and musically and holding it down. J. Rue did something too, right? Didn't J. Rue do something when the East is? Yeah, he did something. What we got? Cube, Ice T, Digital Underground, quick, heavy out there. Um, Digital Underground has some joints too. Shock G was a great producer too. He was dope on piano, very good pianist, man. Like him and Pac had a nice little synergy too. What's the record he did? You don't know me, you just let me. You won't let. I get around. That's one of the most unique beats ever, man. In the sense of hip hop, like the jazz element that he added at that time, everybody wasn't. And when I say jazz, of course you had the Pete Rocks and the Q-Tips tapping into that, but the way he did it, it wasn't horn heavy. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't horn at all. It was his jazz progressions on the piano on it that made it fire, man. Too Short was on the Midnight Marauders album cover. Yeah, it was quite a few people. You hear stories about that now, how some people were told to come down and they regretted every day that they decided not to go. That gotta be top 5 album covers ever. Hold on. Pac would do a song with anybody, hot or not. As much as he worked, right? Sometimes when you work that hard in the studio, you just gotta, whoever's in there, we locking in. Work ethic on steroids. I was listening to on the R&B Money podcast. John B was on there, and he was speaking about Pac telling him pretty much, for lack of a better term, I'm not speaking verbatim, but he was telling him how work ethic is very important. You got to stay in the studio. He was working out of 3 or 4 rooms. Going here, drop a verse, I'm over there, locking down like a whole studio. Keep in mind how old he was when he passed away. You got to have a singular focus. You know how hard it is? And not to mention what he's around. I mean, it's nothing but drama. And he was still able to just keep the music, the main thing. That's what Deion Sanders said. Coach Prime, keep the main thing. That's what he did. So even with all the antics, he still, whether I was a fan of that era or not, he still gave so much work, man. For real. Yes, sir. I Get Around is really dope and original. That joint is fire, man. His flow on I Get Around fit that song perfectly. Listen, man. When did that come out? Is that 95? I give it 94, 95-ish, right? Or am I giving it, is it a little earlier than that? That's fire. Pac had the Mamba mentality. Or maybe Kobe had that Pac mentality. Yo, that's crazy. He was going to 96. He didn't even get to see them win a chip. That's 93? Damn. Yeah, Shock G is a beast for that one. Do you think some of Pac's flows and verses sound a bit rushed, like he was racing against the clock, which he was? You know what? I guess it comes back to execution, right? Because there's a lot of things he would try, but I don't know. Well, you mentioned the flow, but even like lyrically, right? Was I asking too much of him? Because could he have been a lyricist if he gave it more time, or was that an attribute that he just didn't have? So his turnover time was a gift. You get what I'm saying? Like, had he worked at it, could he have been a Nas with the pen? Because if he wanted to, he could have dropped 3-4 albums in a year. Like, turnaround time was nothing for him. But as a lyricist, I don't think people go to him for that anyway. It's the emotion, right? We spoke about imagery or the connection. But I think, yeah, I think that could have hindered it as well. I think so. And I guess that's why him and Dre didn't really build that camaraderie or that relationship, right? Because Dre is one of them dudes, a perfectionist. And Pac is like, nah, this got to go out. What we doing? So what could have been between those two is something that I'll always question or cross my mind. He was a lyricist, in your opinion? So I guess that always comes, that's preference too, right? Because like I spoke about, creativity is who you're gauging it against, right? So if you're gonna always compare a basketball player to Mike, they never gonna meet the standard, right? Oh, he didn't jump as high as Mike, or he didn't do this as Mike. No, you have to be reasonable, right? So maybe that I'm off in that sense, but as far as like the lyricism that I like, he didn't offer that, but you felt him. It's kind of like a bass player, right? It's the foundation, right? I like the bass line felt, not heard. Feel it here in my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know when it's rattling. I don't need you doing tricks and licks and showing off in a sense. Just lay the foundation. So, yeah, you did feel everything that he said. And I think that's the gift, right? That's something you can't teach either. I don't even think you can work at that. That's just something you have. You know, someone who walks in the room and they just shine in all environments. They don't try. They're not looking for attention. They know how to blend in or shine in each environment, right? Quiet giant. So I think, yeah, that's something that he had. You felt them. Dre got a bunch of masterpieces collecting dust. I don't agree with him not dropping music, especially when he's not a rapper. You know, with Dre, I think Dre became like, you know how Nas didn't let Illmatic hinder him in a sense, like I'm just not gonna make another one. I'm just gonna stay away from it. I think Dre's previous successes were like his biggest enemy because it was always on his mind. Like what they're gonna think. Like he perfection, but music isn't supposed to be perfect. You ever listen to some music and the drummer's playing, and you may not hit the snare as hard as you hit it the last 5 times. It adds to the dynamics, right? Of course, but at the same time, the imperfections are what makes it perfect. I think you're right. Dre did miss a lot of opportunities, and we all did. Imagine how many masterpieces or iconic records are sitting on hard drives, or that ended up getting leaked anyway when he should have just put them out. I think Nas isn't afraid to fail. Dre is. We can leave that right there. Straight Outta Compton was influenced by Public Enemy. Of course, like that, you can hear all in the drum loops and break beats, like that organized noise in the sense. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why Cube came over here for a solo. You think Dre peaked in the 80s and the 90s? I listen, with that type of musical gift, it'll always be there. You know what I'm saying? Well, you said peaked. You didn't mention it wouldn't be there, but yeah, he but wherever he peaked at musically in the 80s and the 90s, as you said, that ear has always been pristine. No better engineer in hip hop history when it comes to mixing. If you want everything heard, panned the correct way, Dre was different. I hate lazy sampling. What's your phone number? Firm album. I can dig that. But what about the Firm fiascos, though, when you bring in the orchestras? That Firm fiasco beat is crazy. Yo, and we're not going to forget to mention, because a lot of cats don't talk on this. We love AZ. AZ is a goat in my eyes, right? But that verse on there, what was it? 200 fallen angels, we balling from every angle. That's half a mill's flow. Rest in peace to half a mill. Trying to keep up with the chat. Y'all got it buzzing in here. After that money from the Dre Beats headphones, Dre said, I'm going to fall back like late September bars. But you know what's too? Not even that. Like when you solidified, right? And I think that they know music was shifting in a way too, right? They kind of stepped away from it. That's why everyone became a mogul and an entrepreneur in some sense, right? Got into the accessory game. All right, I may not be doing music, but what do you need if you're gonna listen to music? Headphones. You know what I'm saying? Like they stepped away because that's the that era is kind of like, what was it? The ATL, the snap music era. What was that? That's not too far off from that. A lot of people was trying to pivot away from that because is that even when you think about it, that time of music, right? That time span. Did you play any records from that? So if you know that sound has the game in the headlock, is it really smart to drop? It's a different time now where you just upload it to streaming services. Everyone has that luxury. But back then, we know it's Dre, but you also have to be mindful of the time that you're in. Because he's not even that active in a sense. If he's going to drop an album, I think he's all in, right? He's gonna do a tour, things of that nature. But if you making the bread that he was, or the option that he had doing the headphones, did it make sense? Like, think about it now. Just yesterday, 2 days ago, he came to an agreement of selling his back catalog for $200 million, and that doesn't even include his share as an Aftermath owner. Now, some of the publishing, yes, but owning the label itself, so he's probably gonna make some more money off of that. And this publishing was only making $10 million annually. And most people probably say, yo, hold on to that. Why? So I think they kind of transcended that in a sense where when you getting that kind of money, kind of like Rick Ross now, right? Doesn't sound really motivated because he done tapped into something totally different. There's very few people who love the art so much like an Escode when they going to continue to give that when they are at their peak with regards to doing business. He don't got to do this. But not only is he doing it, he's doing it at an elite level. Different. Said, thanks a lot, Atlanta. Listen, man. Yeah. It was nasty. You're right. It people love it. Listen, Jermaine Dupri, that's a stain on you, fam. You got classics. You are who you are. But you are part of that too. For sure. I love JD, but that snap music, my God. The ringtones. Now, a lot of people ate off of that. I'm not knocking that part. The business acumen behind it, knowing that you could do that, we're going to eat off these dollar ringtones, that's cool. But it kind of like hip-hop was dead, right? I don't know. Maybe that was the motivation behind it because, my goodness, Laffy Taffy, woo! Like even some songs that sounded okay back then, and I mean in the sense of creativity, right? The Whisper song, right? That's the Ying Yang Twins. Creatively, when you was in a spot and you heard that joint was knocking, like, oh, that's fine. But now you listen back, like, what? What was happening? Listen, what's worse? Snap or mumble rap? Snap. At least with the mumble, you get a melody. But some of these cats, some of the beats, and you may not understand what they're saying, but there's some melody involved in it, which is, I guess, far and removed from singing. I can take that. But the snap and the beats were so basic too, man. It sound nah. I can't believe we even discussing that here. But yo, we got to know where you came from, right? So how could they be mad at Nas for saying hip hop is dead at the time? A lot of the South, well, listen, maybe they didn't want to look in the mirror because that was nasty. My goodness. It's crazy. Drew said snumble. So both of them, JB. Nah, that's good times, man. All right. Too basic. It was nothing to it. We were just talking about Shock G playing the piano. You don't have to be classically trained, but you can piece together some chord arrangements. There was none of that. They was hitting one key at a time and probably 3 keys within the bar and looping it. Boom, boom, and that's it. And Cats was eating it up. The Laffy Taffy. Grown men with the yo. Thank God that's over with, man. Thank God. Oh, I think they like me. Yo, man. That's crazy. All right, yo, I got a question for y'all, right? He was classically trained. You're right. You're right. But I was referring to the other cats who were making those beats and cheating the game. Like, yo, you got all these type of resources. Why not reach out to someone? You know what I'm saying? The songs, the creativity, nothing was there. It was just a bad era in hip hop. It was a bad era in hip hop. So when everyone says, like, Bomani Jones loves to say how the South won, I can dig that in the sense of, like, if you're competitive and you want to make it something, like how they influence culture, which I don't agree with, but you can never forget that contribution. That was nasty. And it's not so much them, it was the people pushing it. Like, word, and people were buying it. They was like going platinum off ringtones. That's crazy. So my question, yeah, they do, but it was dudes out there dancing to that too, man. Believe it or not, it was a lot of cats out here doing the young jock dance, meet me at all of that. They was doing it, son. When you was in the spot, when those records came on, even in NY, the room was on tilt for real. I didn't like it though. That's fire. That's it, man. I don't even got to say nothing. Resistance. Maybe, it felt like an insult because it was true. But that was just an error in a sense. But after that, prior to that, they had dope artists. And a lot of the dope artists prior to that were the ones eating off of that. And then since that time, obviously, we've had some great music from them as well. And we have some music that I don't listen to. So that's just the way it goes. But I want y'all to give me the top 5 MCs. This was on my mind earlier this week. I had a couple here, but give me the top 5 MCs, excluding Nas, and we'll take Nas and Jay out of this, right? So we'll say the top 5 MCs with the most classics. I know Cube would be in there somewhere. Who has the most classics? Take Nas and Jay out the joint. Would you put Cube? Nah, you're right, JB. They all, yeah. So we got Rakim, G Rap, Red. Listen, that's my guy, man. Red, Cube, and Big. So we got Pac and Scarface. I'm gonna write this down. How many classics does Pac have? Lupe Fiasco has 2 classics. Scarface. Okay. Face. Great 88, you right. Classics, like, because when we get into that whole timeless music joint, it ain't too many cats tapping into that. The 2 that I named with proud, like, nah. We have to start talking R&B or something like that. Yay? Oh. Mm. I'm gonna do my homework this week, so I'm just taking down some names. T.I. Never really got into T.I. joint like that. Not like I should have. So Pac has 4 classics? Cube, Pac, Biggie, Scarface, and X. That's a pretty good list. Siegel, first 3. What we got? The Truth, The Reason, and Becoming. Is it Becoming? Yeah. X, yeah. So for the most part, most of these artists have at least 2 classics, is what you're saying, right? No, I'm not saying T.I. can't rap. I'm just saying in the sense of I never like what was the album when I'm just doing my job? I know I copped that. Kanye did the joint. When he got when he started to veer off and do like the more popish records, That wasn't my cup of tea, but he had his run when he was who he was. Absolutely. Classic is overused term. I agree. Common for sure, Devon. You're winning the same wavelength for real. X has two classics. It's first and third. Trap Music was the name of the album. You are correct, sir. I appreciate that. Urban Legend was after that, right? Does Wu count as a group? Yes. Urban Legend. Three classics meets the bar. All right, so we're talking three classics. How many people reach that? That's a bit different, man. So it's a Cam SDE. Come Home With Me and Purple Haze and Confessions of Fire. That's his first. Wow. Horse and Harris. That was my shit. Yo. I like Sports Drugs Entertainment. It has a hip hop like classic on there in a sense. Nobody really Moving Weight is my joint, man. Shout out to the Fresh Out Podcast Show. Salute to y'all. Salute family in chat. We have to do a collab show soon. Much love. That can definitely happen, man. Hit me up for sure. Fresh Out, what y'all think about that Skyzoo album? Ghostface. Y'all in here naming some joints, man, because I'm going back this week, man. It ain't too many albums that dropped thus far. So the best thing is to what? Do your homework. SDE is the best Cam album, all facts. A lot of people speak about, like, I guess they don't like the album because the place Cam was in at the time, he was, he wasn't dealing his he wasn't feeling his label situation. So in hindsight, they try to act as if that joint wasn't quality music. I like that album. I like it better than Confessions of Fire. For sure. Bob T, we got you for sure. We're gonna do it for hip hop, man. Shout out to all the channels and the publications that really love hip hop, man. We understand that it's a game, especially when you're dealing with YouTube, where you gotta, get your clicks and views. That's cool, but integrity first. Then all the other stuff gonna follow, man. Real rap. Oh no, Purple Haze. Oh yeah, I have another question regarding that too. Crazy album. Oh, y'all reviewing it tonight? I'm gonna tune in for sure because that album gets busy. I'm gonna I'm gonna continue to ask Cats that because I think he deserves more, man. That's it. For real. As a lyricist, someone go on Tidal, go on Apple Music. You can go on Spotify with other DSPs, and look how much work he's given Cats over the years, and for him not to be mentioned within 30 seconds when people are talking about just NY artists or the boom bap era or someone who held the flag is kind of like disgusting to me, especially if you love hip hop. Sometimes I take that personal in the sense that maybe I'm not talking about it enough because there's no way that people shouldn't be aware or abreast of what he's brought to the game. He checks all boxes in the sense. He may not give you the radio airplay, but most people who tune into the Easy Experience and the artists that we like ain't getting played on radio anyway. So the things that we love, he embodies all of that. And he's respected by the cats that most people like nowadays because he was in that lane before they even arrived, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Skyzoo, man. Make sure y'all go listen to that, man. The Mind of a Saint, produced by the other guys. Fire. When I get off the stream, I'm going to go listen to it again. I love conceptual albums, man. Mobb Deep, Infamous, Hell on Earth, and Murder Music. That's those first three albums. Yeah. That's a different kind of run right there, man. But then again, no, I can't say first three albums. We'll say 2, 3, and 4, right? I'm not going to say I'm the guy that listens to Juvenile Hell. I've listened to it, but I don't go back and listen to it. But Infamous, Hell on Earth, and Murder Music. And shout out to Adriel Green. I got that question in the comments a couple of weeks ago. Last week, sorry. I'm willing to. I'm rolling with that. I'll take Hell on Earth over Infamous. I know it's like a stigma behind it, like certain albums you can't shun. I'm not shunning that album. The Infamous is fire. It has very high highs, but Hell on Earth, you don't really skip anything on there. People forget about that fact. And Prodigy has two of his top 5 verses in his career, in my opinion, is on Hell on Earth. Apostles' Warning and his last verse on Hell on Earth. Masterpiece, man. Very dark. I think that's what they were really, Havoc really found himself on that album. And like we were saying, how music doesn't have to be perfect. There's a lot of imperfections in the music as well. Like some of the bass lines that he's hitting is not in key, but it just feels right. Shout out to Prodigy, man. Havoc, the Queen sound. Hell on Earth is different, man. I just wish when that video came out, it could have been much better. That's one of the worst videos ever. You ever watched that video recently? Like, who was behind that? That whole concept was trash. But the album, it's like no misses on there. You play it straight through. Scope Maverick, what up, family? That's a tough one. Hell on Earth is dope, though. That Pac disc is hella underrated. One of the best in my opinion. If that dropped in what? So Infamous is 95, right? So Hell on Earth, I'm gonna give 97. 90, it's definitely not 96. It got to be 97. For sure. Any songs where you think Havoc out rhyme P? Backwards. But that's later on in the joint. It's quite a few songs, but Havoc got busy. See, Havoc is a technician, and people don't really be speaking on that fact that Havoc is not just a beat maker. Like even when you listen to his hooks, right? How he's doubling his voice at a lower octave, and it sounds incredible. And you can tell that it's well planned out because he's in the right key and all of that. Like his tone, it's still like the little simple things. Havoc can take the same sample as most producers, and for whatever reason, I don't know, nothing he ever touches sounds like any other sample that everyone else uses. Havoc is different, man. He gets overlooked, but he gets love at the same time. I just think that he should be revered by all. Maybe because he didn't do enough work outside of that team. But there are definitely songs where he out-rap P. And P is in my top 5, but Havoc is that guy, man. Havoc had a dope verse. What was the single that he dropped on Reckless Manor with Styles P? He was getting busy on that album too. Havoc can write, man. But you know, we come in this culture, when they box you in, you can't get out of that. So he'll never be considered as an MC in that capacity because he's a producer. Kind of like Kanye had to fight to get his way out of there, and the list goes on and on. Nah, P overrated? Nah, son. He definitely wrote most of those hooks. You can't teach that, man. You can't. That's songwriting, because without the chorus, there is no song. 3 verses is not going to be enough. You got to be able to write a hook, a chorus, a bridge. You have to. And that's what makes the great ones great. The great ones don't have to call on the top female singer or male singer to sing every hook. Nah, you got to get in there and pen it yourself. As to the song, man. And it doesn't have to be catchy. Nas, I Gave You Power. One of the greatest hooks ever written. And it sounds as though it can be part of a verse. You just have to find your lane, tap into that, make it happen, man. No debate here. Prodigy is one of the most quoted sample MCs in hip hop. Period. No way around that. P is P. Checked all boxes. Sampled iconic verses on his own projects and features. Stayed true to who he was. Never really, tried to tap into what was happening over there. They had a sound. And even when they added the Alchemist, that's peak Alchemist in my estimation. What he doing now is fire. But Alchemist with Mobb Deep is the cheat code. It's never been done like that before. That may be the best created super team in hip hop history, man. Alchemist and Mobb Deep. Because ladies, we can't just go by the commercial run. When you was in the city, the mixtapes they was dropping with Big Mike, the Free Agents album, they got joints, man. Great 88, I agree. Hip hop fans can be casuals. They don't be listening, man. That's why earlier this week I said I want to find out who's actually listening to the music or who's being swayed by public opinion. Don't tell me what's hot. Point me in the right direction. Why is it hot? Which verse should I listen to? Who produced it? What kind of subject matter do they have? Is it creative? Is it different from their other projects? If you can't answer those type of questions about an artist that you are pushing on us, don't talk to me because you're not doing your homework. You're just being led by what other people were saying. Got to do your homework because this hip hop thing is forever evolving, just like anything in life. We can love Illmatic. You can love It Was Written. But if you love hip hop, you can't be mad at KD3 either because we're moving along. No one is staying there. We're not wearing 5XTs anymore. We're not wearing Carhartt jeans 3 sizes too big. Well, some people are, but it just don't look right. We're moving it along. Got to keep evolving. Always evolving. What we got here? Imagine listening to Prodigy on the original Quiet Storm and conclude that he's overrated. Because they don't be listening. And not to mention, he gave that up for the team. And then you know what? This is how you know you're great. Damn, that's supposed to be my single. And then we get to keep it thorough. If that's overrated, damn, I'm going to continue to listen to overrated artists. That's what I'm into. P was different, man. We know that, though. So give me that. That's what's up, man. Lil Kim killed both of them on Quiet Storm. That's cool. They made the call to put on it, though. Evolution is the revolution. Stand up, don't stand still, family. Absolutely, man. With all things, you got to keep it pushing, man. Always. And that's why it goes back to the original point of the stream, laziness, and how if you're going to be a lyricist, laziness will never prevail. You got to keep evolving. I want to see certain artists give us a classic this year. And when I mean by classic, I'm not talking about fire bars. I want them to tap into things that they've never done. It's January. Skylar from Brooklyn, Mr. Skyzoo, dropped the conceptual album in January, top of the year. Everyone else to try new things. You've already been successful. Trust me, whatever's been working, people always say if it's working, stay right there. I agree with that to a certain extent, right? But your fans are not going to turn their backs on you, man. You can, if you got 12 projects in and you try something different on the 13th, this is not 2000 or 1996 where you got to wait 2 years for the budget from your label. Nah, if it don't work, just pivot and come right back. But we got to keep pushing the art, fam. Push the art. There's no reason why dudes should be making albums. And then when they're featured on other people's projects, it's the same content. You mean it, yo, son, come on, fam. You don't got nothing else? It's like the producer making the same beat over and over. We're just talking about the snap music era and how it's appalling in hindsight, right? Like you look back, like, how did we allow this to happen? And notice I said hindsight because even at the time, we didn't like that. Right? So you listen to the things that you like, but in a sense, like if producers can't do that, why do we allow artists to get away with it? I mean, 16 bars of the same stuff. We got to step it up, man. Lyrics matter. To be the best, you got to outdo the best. Can't get on stage and say it. You got to have a discography. And how do you build a solid discography? One song at a time. One song at a time. One song at a time, for real. Prodigy rhyme patterns are amazing. You never know where the rhyme drops. His vocab is simple, but is efficient. Yes, and he's like the king of the unresolved rhyme in the sense that you ever listen to a song and let's say you got this one measure, right? And they're playing three chords. Bing, bang, bing. Let's say those are the chords, right? Unresolved would be if the song ended on bing, bang, and you're expecting the third one, right? Prodigy would end a lot of his verses. They don't even rhyme, but it felt right. That's what music is all about. It's about the way it makes you feel, right? We're just speaking on Tupac, how you felt his words. Prodigy had a connection with his audience. Had a connection with his audience. And you can't really teach that, like I keep saying, man. But I'm not gonna sit here and argue on behalf of P because we know who P was, man. And anyone stating that he's overrated never really listened. Checked all boxes, had a nice run to it. Now, let's not forget he wore the crown for a little bit too. He had it. It may not have been for a full year, but you're not considered overrated or not a threat when you got Jay going out his way to throw shots. I'm just keeping it being, son. Prodigy was there. Apostles One and Hell on Earth, man. Hell. Presently, I'm taking Hell on Earth, like I stated over the Infamous. Shout out to Adriel Green. Guru was straight to the point. He was. But it was fire. And he was giving you knowledge too. Guru was nice, man. And he had a very good ear for beats. It's not outside of Primo too. When he was working, he was on the Jazzmatazz joint. Like he brought a different element to well, at least to his career. Real rap. Give me Black Thought. I see y'all out here. That's why I'm big on Scarface, because you can feel everything he says in his music. And one thing I love about Scarface, he's gonna give you quality albums, classic, right? And he gonna show up when it's time for features. He never mails it in. He don't rest on his laurels. Think about any record he's done with anyone that I can think of. Son be going, he be spitting. He spits. JB, what you mean? Nah, man, we Pac and J fans are insufferable because a lot of them don't see anything outside of what those two individuals do. And not all, though. Not all, but that's the standard in their eyes, and no one else could reach that. I'm optimistic. I'm open-minded. You tell me a song to listen to, I'm going to go listen to it. I'm going to research it, make sure I check certain boxes, and then I'll come back to you and ask, why did you feel this way about the song? And maybe I can like take notes and figure out what I'm missing. A lot of people aren't open-minded. In their mind, this is what it is. This is what it's going to be. And I'm going to argue this point without any facts. I'm just going to argue the point. And once we reach that point, I tune it out. Because some of the biggest, it's a difference between a fan and a stan. Stan, that's an obsession. And half of them don't even know the B-side records. They're obsessed with the popularity attached to said artist. But can you name those B-sides of a third LP or mixtape verses and things of that nature? That's what I be caring about. If you can do that, you got my attention. M fans are delusional. And that's one artist where I'm willing to, because anytime I come across an M fan, I say, yo, give me a fire line or a quotable. Then we get into that double entendre talk. No. Give me a fire line that's fire. Give me something. That's all I want. Just give me a fireball, fire line. Yo, but he sold a bunch of records. No, you're not hearing me, fam. Let me get those bars. What's up? You don't get nothing. I come from a place where we love the women in our families. That I can't relate to no dude talking about tying up his mom. Nah, I ain't with all of that, son. Like that's not my thing. It's just not my thing. I could never. It just never really touched me here. Not to say he can't put words together. He can do that, but his subject matter never really jumped out at me. He killed dead wrong, but name a bar. The flow was fire. But I need the line. What was the line when you was like, what? Hold on, bring that back, man. Light was good. Any It's funny how fans can make you hate the artist athlete. Like, if you know me, you know Nas is my favorite MC, right? But I don't talk about him in a way that turns you off. I come with facts, and we can have discourse. There may be some things you don't like. I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, maybe that song wasn't that great. Because nobody bats 1,000. In the MLB, you can get in the Hall of Fame from hitting 3 out of 10 balls. That's 30%. 300, right? Percentage of 300 when you're batting, right? That's Hall of Fame. 3 out of 10. So no artist is perfect. But you get these M fans like, my goodness, like, where were you? I don't get it. Yeah. But we know he killed that wrong. But my question is, name a bar from there. The flow was captivating. But what did he say 20 years later and you sitting back saying, yo, that was fire? I don't hear it. Yo, AB, you about to start a whole fight up in here, man. I'm just gonna put this up here and let y'all answer it, man. Yo, you know my stance on that, man. Every artist, especially when you done with Kendrick is done, he's earned the right to I don't know, to give us that, right? He's earned that right. You don't think? I don't want a part two though. I just think the execution was off a little bit, but I don't think most people want that. Mr. Morale wasn't good. Going through that's what they're saying. Yo. That's the thing, but he got to pivot though. You got to get back to. I ain't gonna tell a man what he got to do because he's accomplished in this sense, but like, that's not what we want. You 2 out of 3 on the concept album, joints. We got so many M fans be like, I don't listen to rap, but you love Eminem. Because it's popularity, and I don't even understand how you can even like. They just be conflating things. Like one has nothing to do with the other. And that's why I'm so against like fans making album sales part of their argument. I'm going to keep saying this. Your family doesn't benefit if M sells 2.5 million records. His family does. The music is for us. That's why I'm saying, since the music is made for the fans, give me a bar from an Eminem song that changed your life. And you was like, damn, your son, you heard that? I'll wait. I'm looking in the comment. I'm waiting. Like, I need a bar. And if it's fire, I'd be like, yo, that's it. I'll wait. Like, I've seen him single-handedly ruin a song on KD2. EPM. Why was he on there? Like, it's almost like a dude at the park. He's just showing all his between the leg, behind the back, everything he got in his arsenal. But yo, the shot clock is running out, fam. We about to lose this game. It just wasn't. When's the last time he gave you an impeccable performance? M should not be in anyone's top 5. I'm sorry. Not based on lyrics. If we talking about totality, you start putting in merch and album sales and tours, but I need to hear some bars. Give me that fire bar that he spit. He he ruined a song. He tried to come with that same renegade, I would say attitude in the sense, yo, I'm about to body Nas on this because yo, they said I got Jay, or even Nas said it. Eminem murdered you on your own ish. I'm gonna do the same thing to Nas, and he ruined the song. It was trash. What did he say in that song that was fire? What did he say? I don't care. Listen, I know it's not the popular thing to say things like this, and you get cats that he's helped out along the way, and they are oblivious and blind to the fact that he sold records. But what fire bar that he write that you remember? We've been on this subject for about 5 or 6 minutes. I haven't seen one lyric in this chat yet. Katie, this I can understand that. Great 88. He was on it for streaming purposes. Yes. That's good business on this from the standpoint of Mass Appeal and Nas and the whole crew. I get that. But for M fans that act like that was some type of, like he dropped a triple double or something. No, he didn't. He was ice cold. Nah. You talk about lyrical miracle, like that's rappity rap. Just rhyming for the sake of rhyming, but what are those bars that's gonna touch the people, or those quotables that just makes you hold up? No. Pause that. Yo, what did he just say? None of that. When the last time M has ever done that? When's the last time he done that? And yet we still got people acting as if he's that guy. I know I'm from Queens. I know he helped out Fifth and all of them. I respect that. And you got to respect that. Signed him. His machine made things possible in the sense of putting the light in the eyes on what was needed to be seen at that time, because they deserved everything they got. Worked for it. They hit the pavement. But we're talking about a rapper. As a rapper, what bar, what line, what captivated the audience? I'm talking about his fans now, because even if it's not for me, I want to hear the line that they love. Okay. J. Cole holding lyrical rap down in the depression. Give him his roses. Cole doing this thing. Does Cole have? I love Cole. Can't front on Cole. Cole gets busy. He does. Well-rounded artist. And he's outside consistently, right? He used to be one of those guys that disappeared for a little bit, hit the road, take time with a project. But he's been outside for a long time now, man. And Cole gets busy. I'll never take that away from him. I just keep forgetting that they're not young men anymore, in the sense that they're young, because that's relative. But I mean, they're in their mid-30s now. He's been in the game a long time. So he's seasoned. He knows how this goes. He knows the importance of consistency. Or when we're talking about lyricism, or taking your time, writing, pushing your pen, showing up when it's time to do a feature, not mailing it in, never resting on his laurels. Oh, yeah, I don't like my beats, so I'm going to start working with different producers. Always evolving. Some things are going to work, some things won't. But as an artist, you got to keep pushing, right? I respect that and love that about Cole. Got to respect that. Yeah. Some say, what'd you say? My mere thoughts. We need a classic album from Cole. It's been a minute. What's Cole's best album? I know in hindsight, we have a lot of people who love, well, not everyone in hindsight, but some people over time have gone or have come to love Born Sinner. But what would you consider to be Cole's best album. Yo, y'all killing him in this chat. Yo. We got Friday Night Lights, Forest Hill Drive. That was a mixtape. Okay. Oh, Light, what's good, fam? Let me answer this question for you. Thoughts on new G Rap album, Dying Breed? Is that just dropped what, late last year? Who did that? Domingo, right? Most of the production. We're talking about the same album. I didn't like it. The production sounded dated. And it's disheartening. I'll tell you why. Because I know rap has relationships or the respect from an array of different people to get the production that he deserves. Those beats sounded very dated, even from the sampling standpoint. Some of them were cool, but I didn't like the project. I could be wrong though. If I'm bugging, let me know. I'll go back and listen to it again though. Yo, that's what M is like, the topic that keeps on giving. Because I've never witnessed anything like it. Y'all be mad at Kendrick fans. My good M fans are different. I don't know if they're trying to be funny. I just don't get it. But we can get all of this stuff in the chat, but nobody gonna give me a fire bar. I just want some bars, man. That's all I want. Give me the fire bars, man. Still waiting on that Cole and Kendrick album. That ain't never happening. That's that. You can put that on the shelf with "I Can't Feel My Face" by Santana and Lil Wayne. Put that on the shelf with the Nas and AZ album. We can put that on the shelf with who else? What other albums are never coming out? Dr. Dre, Detox. The list goes on and on. I don't do the casual conversations, man. We got to have discourse. Let's talk hip hop, because hip hop is not just about music. This is a culture, right? We all learn from each other. And if you think you know everything, I don't even want to talk to you, because no, it doesn't work like that. Got to bounce ideas. But M fans are just closed off to like reality. He's not nice. I'm going to say it. He's not nice. If you can't name bars, rap is not your thing. And I'm talking about the fans. If he's that nice, he the GOAT, he this and that, I need you to name a fire line. Give me one line that you was like, yo, son, he's the GOAT. I want the line. We've been on here for almost 2 hours. I need a fire M line. One fire bar. I'm not asking for a verse. I'm not asking for a hook. I'm not asking for an entire song. Hell, I'm not even asking for a fire album. I want one fire bar. And I'll wait. Y'all think I'd be bugging? Now, if I said, yo, name me a Scarface bar, it'll be on fire in here. If I said, yo, name me a Beanie Siegel bar, it'll be on fire in here. If I said, name me a Lloyd Banks bar, it'll be on fire in here. So why is the guy who sold more records than all of them, the most popular, the one that is held to be a king within the culture and rap, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How the hell did you don't have a bar for him? I don't get this. Some people can name a fire bar from Mike Geronimo, Royal Flush. You ain't got no fire M bars? Nah. We good on that. Someone asked me, Easy Mo B or I missed it. It's Mo. What's good, fam? What's happening? I missed you. The what was the question again? Was Easy Mo B or someone else? My bad, fam. I missed it. My bad. Mo B got busy. Mo B, Mo B is nice. I say he's nice. He's still nice because he did like a rhythm roulette recently, and still using that SP12, getting busy. Oh, high tech. Listen, man, that's no walk in the park. He not about to dog walk high tech though. High tech got some joints. High tech was over there in the aftermath camp. We got high technology 1 and 2, uh reflection eternal. High tech got joints. He got joints with the East Siders. Mo B just have those classic joints like Flavor in Your Ear has to be top 5 beat of all time, right? Can't really. And high tech get busy though, man. High tech is busy. That joint he had on Little Brothers, the Get Back. You make me set my game up. That joint. High Tech might be the only guy that has Dilla and Nas on the record, right? The music, right? Yeah, that's on High Technology too. Dilla, Nas, and Common on the joint. Nice. That was a nice record too. The joint he got even on the High Tech and Corrupt record he got on that album too with Dion on the hook. High Tech is a phenomenal producer, man. Real rap, man. Yo, y'all still going. Yo, M, yo, maybe I should talk about M more often. The engagement be going crazy. But shout out to M though. All jokes aside, man. I appreciate what you was able to do over almost a 30-year run, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Your record sales and the popularity and being able to stun on pop stars and people who don't really make records in hip hop. But what you did for 50 Queens, we respect that. But your fans, I just want one bar. That's it. Just want one bar. That's all I want. One bar. But back to High Tech, he gets busy, man. High Tech is nice. High, High Tech has a lot of beats that are like iconic that people like forget about. That you forget that he did it, He's definitely nice. He got records on he did records for G Unit, Beg for Mercy. Yo, he man. I know he was supposed to be down with Ninth Wonder's Jamla, but I don't know what happened with that. But a Soul Council. So Easy Mo B or High Tech. See, Mo B is more top heavy, Um Mo B did I love the did he do I love the dough? I love the dough. Yeah, he did that. He got I know he did a record for Pac too, right? He got a song with Big and Pac. Not post death either. They were both here. If I was doing an album as an artist, I'm going High Tech. But if we just talking about an impact on the culture, son, Flavor in Your Ear, ladies and gentlemen. Regular and the remix, like no way around that. He did. Matter of fact, he did running for a game in Yayo. High Tech did that. High Tech got some joints, man. JV, I see that question up there. I ain't even gonna put it on the screen, but listen, that's what they'll call you when be like that. He definitely did running. Yo, we pretty much covered everything here, man. So we got y'all gave me some homework to do. I got my top 5 MCs with the most classics. Y'all named quite a few. Some artists that I need to listen to that may be next up that don't get enough love. I know some people mentioned Denzel Curry, Simba, Nick Grant. Is Nick Grant on the list? Yeah, I'm gonna check them out this week. Yes, Puff and the Hitmen were brilliant. Puff is he's a great producer, man. It may not be making the beats, but to be able producing is what, like, especially from an executive standpoint, it's making sure everything works, right? Making sure we got the right engineer in the room, making sure we have the right keyboardist, making sure everyone is on point and the vocals are straight, putting the right ingredients together, right? And just making sure that it runs as a cohesive unit. He's very good at that, man. He's very good at that. He's very good at that. I just wish Jadakiss would have tapped into that and was able to work with an executive producer like that, and he would have a solo classic album. But as we speak today, the Sonics, man. Puff tapped into something, man. R&B wise and hip hop. You may not like, people don't like him for whatever it is, but when we talking about just output and work and a consistency, a sound, Life After Death still sounds good to this day. That's executive production, knowing which engineers you're looking for, a sound, the skits, live instrumentation. That's not easy to do. Everyone can go into a project stating that we're going to get this done and get it done, but the execution, Puff did that time and time again. And let's not forget, you may not like the No Way Out album, but Puff wore, I'm not gonna say he wore the crown because he wasn't writing his own joint, but nobody had it like Puff had it at that time. 97, it's different, man. Different. You think Puff stole Juicy from Dude from Mississippi? I heard a little snippet of that song. I know it was a very big deal on a lot of platforms. Who knows, man? But they have so many other joints after that. That shouldn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, Juicy may be very, very radio friendly, but I don't really listen to that song like that when I'm listening to Big. I'm not really going to that song. Do you think Kanye is an MC? I think he started off that way. But he is, if I'm making a list, Kanye is like top. If we're just doing complete artist, he's top 3 probably in the history of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, his influence is impeccable. We get problem with Kanye. He's like, he kind of stained his own legacy in a sense with all the other outlandish behaviors. But when we're talking music, he kept the lights on at Rockefeller for a little bit too. Let's keep it a bean. You know what I'm saying? He was the winning formula. He had bars. Come on. Creativity, College Dropout. How many people would do that album as a debut? That's ballsy, fam. Like, that's not easy to do. And then you're trying to convince other people that this is what it is when cats are looking for singles. No, you need your single. Got to do this. Nah, fam. I got this. I'm telling the story. Let me do my thing. Kanye deserves his flowers, man. Not to say he doesn't get them, but people are starting to look at him as something else. He will always be a hip hop artist to me. I don't get into that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't rock his gear and I ain't rock his kicks and stuff like that. That other stuff he get into, that's cool. But we speak hip hop here. And look at his discography. Isn't my good? Yo, College Dropout. You talk about a 3 album run. That's different. Late Registration. Graduation. Whether you like 808s and heartbreaks, that opened up the lane for so many different artists. Think about it. He birthed so many different people with that project. Wake up, Mr. West. That's cool. Oh, you said MC, but as an artist, sometimes we got to think of getting to the finish line. If I'm making an album, Kanye is one of those dudes I want in the room because he's shown me that he understands the idea of completion, execution, leadership. Think what you want to think about him and all that other stuff. I'm gonna keep saying that. But when it comes to music, he's proven to us that he knows what he's doing over time. And he's had classic records between like in a gap, like first three albums, and then he'll come over here, try something different. Then he'll go on tour and then do something totally different that no one else is doing on the road. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'm gonna go tap in with RZA. That's what makes him brilliant. The fact that his ego, people talk about his ego, but his ego never stopped him from working with other people, even when he was willing to give them credit. You don't really hear about cats saying, yo, Kanye ain't giving my credit. He did. Go read the credits. Sometimes you go to some of his records, it says produced by, you got like 20 names there. He checked all boxes. He kept his integrity in that sense. I'm talking about the music. Kanye, he birthed a lot of these dudes out here. And now it's popular to kind of, play him. And some of it is warranted because he be bugging at times. But I don't know his personal situation that we got going on mentally. And so I try to, practice some empathy in a sense, right? But when we talking music, different, man. Different. Listen to RZA talk about Kanye. He said, yo, I love the fact that when I went out to Hawaii, we played ball. And in the morning, his whole crew ate breakfast together. Everybody sat around the table and talked. Like, those are things like he brings people together. He brings you in and he lets you do you. And he wasn't afraid to do that. He wasn't. And that's what made him so great. Think about how many Game. Yeah, we know that Game had a documentary is fire. Think of the documentary With Our Dreams. Whole different sound on that album. Kanye was checking a lot of boxes, man, and making it look easy. Man. See, but now I don't get into all of that. I get all of that. I'm just talking music. Like, I'm just talking music. There's a bunch of artists that have done a bunch of crazy things, but it's not going to take away from the fact that you made dope music. Now, him bugging out, I'm not promoting all of that. That's why I ain't even speaking on it because I don't give it no light. But I'll give his music light because I grew up on it. And I'm talking about the music I grew up on. When you start talking about these other albums that he was rushing out, I wasn't listening to that. I was far removed from that. He be wilding for sure. I'm never arguing that fact. But musically, it's not nice. RZA is an anomaly to lead 9 other hood ninjas into the industry and make it legendary. I think he's the greatest. Like me and Gray 88 agree that Q-Tip is the most influential dude in hip hop history. I think RZA is the greatest visionary. Like you said, he was leading individuals that had no knowledge of the door they was walking through and was able to keep it together for as long as you could before the vultures get involved. But now they can all look back in hindsight, and that's from the tree. From the tree, man. Those are good times right there. Yeah, but I noticed yeah, that Mr. West subject ain't that joint bring out the passion in most individuals, man. I can dig it though, man. He's tripping, but we gotta. I believe in like I try not to take away from people's legacies in the sense, you know what I'm saying? But he's tripping. He's bugging. He's tripping. He's bugging. He's tripping. But what can we do? RZA was the brains behind an entire movement that inspired thousands of artists and producers globally too. Globally, there's no doubting that. Globally, RZA, great visionary, man. I don't know how he did that. I know that the series is on Hulu. That I know that they say a lot of it is like fictional, but even if 10% if it is real concerning like the beef between individuals, how he was able to do that is insane to me. Like that's insane. And everything seemed to happen like organic, right? At least back then, in the sense that to be heard, you had to be around, right? And they pulled it off. They definitely pulled it off. Can Kanye make another classic at this point? I try not to count out dudes who have a proven track record, but first of all, you gotta be in the right mental space because what's his content matter may totally miss me because I didn't like Donda that much. I get what he was trying to do, but sonically, it just wasn't for me. I like the Ye that was sample, chop up on the ASR, and I hate to sound like the old head in the room, but you can like hear the difference between his production as time has progressed. Even if you go back to Otis, that's fire, like that production. What he's doing now is not for me. It doesn't sound like he's leading the pack. It's like he's blending in and saying, I can do what y'all do in my sleep, and that's gonna be that. Before, it felt like he was just changing the game. I don't think his heart is in it. And what is he going to talk about? I think he can produce probably some dope beats for other individuals, but as an artist, like where does he go from here? I don't know. Deck is an underrated lyricist. That's one of the biggest what ifs in hip hop history. What would have happened had that album not got destroyed in the flood? Every time I think of him, I think like my heart kind of aches in the sense like, dang, like missed out on that one. But he has some of the most iconic opening verses in hip hop history. He will always be remembered in that sense. He always shows up though. Always. Papa Wu, RIP. Got some knowledgeable individuals up in here. Young Thug and ODP, what's the difference? One thing about ODB added something to tracks in the sense like I thought I liked his sense of melody. Like when he was singing on the joint, I know it was a playful manner, but I don't know if maybe it was RZA's ear for production that led him to do that, that put him on the track. But I like what he when he did things like that. But ODB, he had his moment. He had his moment. I'm not gonna say I go back and listen to his projects all the time, but he definitely he when he came through the joint, and that's a testament to RZA, right? RZA was able to knock so many different projects out the park, man. And we know he had a production team, but at the end of the day, he was the executive producer. Like it was his vision, and he made it happen. We hadn't seen anything like that since. ODB, man. You know what, Lucky Lefty? That's the word. I couldn't really he was charismatic. Like even the way he was singing, all of that, like just the confidence, like, yo, I'm getting on this track and I'm doing it, and I'm gonna do it on a live show. And he was Listen, man, unapologetically, ODB care what nobody thought about him. I was looking at something. RZA was saying how one of ODB projects, they uh they did it line for line. They say one line, we're gonna stop here, think of the next one. One line, stop here, think of the next one. Attention, you know how long that takes? Because just because you record the line doesn't mean that it was the first line that you wrote. You got to be all in, man. Yeah, ODB was a man of the people, man. Because it's bigger than music, right? Like people, like it's very few people, who, no matter which room they walk into, he made everyone, from what I can see, just it was very inviting. 100% authenticity, man. But that's the beauty of hip hop, right? Beauty of hip hop. And for all those out there that saying New York dude is a bias, and some people right in the chat, they ain't really digging ODB. I don't agree with it, but New Yorkers don't like all NY rappers. We just try to keep it respectful in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I had some dudes tell me that, yo, we should be kissing Griselda's mics because they brought Boom Bap back. Good luck with that. One of a kind. Now, ODB is we may have to have a conversation about that. He may be one of the most, he was hip hop, but he was a very unique personality, man. ODB, definitely. Because we get caught up in the stuff outside of hip hop. Stuff we don't have any control over. And people be dealing with stuff, man. As we seen, he had a lot on him. Had a lot on him. Rest in peace to ODB. Real rap. A lot of people hate Fat Joe as an example. Yeah, because when he moved him, when he was doing music with Scott Storch and them, people was not digging that for whatever. You got to evolve, right? Cats want to pick who you work with and everything. Yo, yo, I ain't want to touch on that. Yo, wasn't that on MTV? Man picked up his food stamps in the limo. Like, that's what I mean. He was unapologetically ODB, and I don't think he was putting on for the camera. I remember he was on Total Request Live. That was TRL, right? Carson Daly with they had a song on Bulworth, Ghetto Superstar. Was he on that? It was him. Was it Prize and Maya? And the way that he just captivated or just grabbed the audience alongside the host and had everyone like, you can't teach that. Some people may say, well, he was just a caricature, but nah, he was just ODB unapologetically. And he had a crew that loved him. Never, no one wanted to change him. It just so happens that, he had some hurdles that he had to deal with. But ODB is definitely, he's beloved. When you hear people like Buster speak about him, beloved, man. Who doesn't want free money? What we got here? Light. We touch on this. People get it confused that more sales equal classic. Illmatic was so fairly okay, but still considered one of the greatest and most influential albums of all time. Yeah, I'm not into the whole album sell joint. I dig it. It's definitely an accolade, but we're not gonna act like because something sold a bunch of records that it's a classic. It's not. Classic means standing the test of time, right? When you play it now, it still feels the same as it did back then. Now, over time, I've kind of evolved my thinking in a more progressive way, and I believe that there's a difference between a classic album and a timeless album. Illmatic happens to be timeless. Everyone doesn't have one of those. We got a lot of people with classic albums, but both are definitely extraordinary accomplishments. And record sales don't necessarily equate to a classic album, because how many classic albums does Eminem have? Puff is good, but Woo is for the children. Yeah, Woo is for the children. I remember it was at the Grammys, right? 97. That inspired Woo for the Children or Magic. Yo, yo, y'all having some interesting conversations in this chat, man. Yo, very good stuff in here. Listen, I before I get off this joint, I asked for one hot Eminem line, and now we're gonna say, since his record sales, which one of those albums are a classic? Now, if you can't answer that question, I did like, I think it was Marshall Mathers LP. Is that a thing? That's the second one, right? Slim Shady is what, 98, 99-ish. So Marshall Mathers LP has to be at least after 2000, or whatever song had I'm just Marshall Mathers. That joint, I like that. I thought that was a pretty good album. It was not classic but sales matter because that's what people rated X and Puffy. Who? No, DMX? Word? Nah, X had quality music, son. And you got to keep in mind, X wasn't supposed to sell records like that. Like, he wasn't no cookie cutter artist that came through and followed the formula. Like, we had never seen anything like that. And he was still able to pull it off. Even look at Big. Big is not the quintessential rap in a sense to where when we talk about appeal and we're talking about I don't know, checking all boxes in the sense of women loving him. Yeah, his charisma led to that and the marketing behind it. But he was no heavy D straight out the gate. Nah, they earned that. They definitely earned that. X? Word? Yeah, the pin stretch across your windpipes line was bananas. That was on backstage, right? When they was freestyling with Jay and the security guard. What's the point then, Gray? With the fact that what? If record sales matter, but X has songs that you still play to this day. It's not like he ever chased a single like that. I just felt like it was organic. When I mean record sales, I mean in the sense of we have fans that use record sales as a crutch or as a debating point. No, because that don't necessarily mean that it's a classic. It doesn't, because we have a lot of records. How many of y'all playing Nellyville? You may play Dilemma featuring Kelly Rowland. Some may even play Air Force Ones, and that went diamond. So record sales don't always mean a classic album. X got quality albums. Like, I know people who have X in their top 5 because they think he's a lyricist, and I'm not disputing it. I'm just speaking from their standpoint. They believe he's a lyricist, charismatic. He's a great writer, original, authenticity. X is beloved, man. And like, I used to see a lot of his former not label mates, but those in the same crew, like Jane and them, put them in the top 5. And I didn't understand why, because I thought they was kind of like just saying it just because. But when you speak to a lot of people, I'll put in my top 10 or 15, but X is in a lot of people top 5. And let's not get it twisted. Being in somebody's top 20 isn't some type of I don't know, participation or award or trophy. You know how many rappers have come and gone? If you make it to somebody's top 10, top 15, that's like being a top 15 basketball player of all time. There are only so many spots on a roster during one season. Now we're gonna multiply that by 50 plus seasons. How many people have played ball and you're in the top 10 or 15? I think we look at numbers so much and we forget about just how selective the company is. I'm from NYC. Of course, Nelly isn't gonna hit. That's not true, fam, because you got people from the Midwest that don't bang that either. Like, I understand music is regional for the most part, but you have purists from all different. The Midwest hip hop wasn't always a thing. You have some people from the Midwest that's into boom bap, and I didn't think Nelly music was typically for the Midwest. I think it was just more crossover appeal. He was just trying different things because, in a sense, Chicago's in the Midwest, and Common's in my top 5. It just wasn't a classic album. It sold a bunch of records, Nellyville. Now, shout out to him and his family. You go diamond, you changing generations. If you save your money or spend it right, that's fire. I'm all for that. I ain't never knocking that. But I don't think that record sales as a debating point, in a sense, that ain't enough, because there's a lot of albums out here that went platinum that you don't even play anymore. A lot of albums like that. It just happens that way. So before I go, man, nah, I ain't gonna put that. Listen, I ain't ever putting M alongside. M did come through spitting, unlike the the other cats, the Vanilla Ices of the world that may have took the culture vulture route. M did attempt to keep it hip hop. I just don't think that he's that nice to the point to where people put them in their top 5. Like, I'm not willing to put Eminem over DMX. There's no way. I'm not doing that. So an album with great songs and party music can't be classic? I'm not sure if you're asking me that. I think it can be. But great songs and party music can't be classic? Yeah, but Nellyville isn't. Because, first of all, a classic got to have some sense of replay value. Like, if you're not playing it, how the hell is it classic? If it's that classic, if it means that much, if it's that good, you don't ever revisit it? Nah. Mm-mm. Every album that I consider to be a classic, and most people, they play it from time to time. It don't have to be the entire album in totality. Maybe you play maybe 4, 5, 6, or the songs from it. But if you're just playing one song, the single, how's an entire 13 or 14 song LP a classic? I'm just asking. I'm not against party songs, and I'm not one of them guys that don't believe that you can't party and have a good time. Nah, I'm not saying that. But replay value. Are you playing the songs that you consider to be a classic? That's a valid question. Because we throw that word around a lot. That's why I believe in classic and then timeless, because everything seems to be a classic. But who's playing these records? So M is over DMX. I'm not putting, not me. I'm not sure if they're asking me these questions or other people. I'm not putting M over DMX. That's not happening. Absolutely not. X sold records like y'all like to talk about. X, he's seasoned in the battle arena in the sense that he can go toe to toe with an MC. He got classic albums, features, originality. He checks all these boxes, man. Like, X was different. To many people, Grammar is a classic. Okay, I get that. But is it based on record sales? Because that's what this argument or this debate started from. Record sales, right? And I said that just because you go platinum don't mean that the album or you sell a bunch of records don't mean that it's classic. Isn't his first album is Country Grammar? Am I not mistaken? Am I bugging? That's the one with the hit after hit after hit, right? Had maybe 3 or 4 hits I can remember. Ride With Me is what? Is Ride With Me on there? You know, I know what, like, I ain't just chatting. I know the music in a sense. I mean, I know the name of the albums offhand and where they drop, but I remember the singles and things of that nature. But Country Grammar is better than, if that's his first album, Country Grammar, I would say that's better than Nellyville. But didn't Nellyville sell more records? Which kind of like proves the point what I'm trying to make, that record sales don't make albums better or classic. But there's many different artists like that. DMX, his joint is, how could you not respect that? But his career is not built off record sales. It happened so organically. It's not like that was supposed to happen. And 98, what dropped? I know he dropped, but prior to that, what was the landscape of the game? Were we expecting DMX to happen? Was Rough Riders supposed to be what they were? Kind of like the game shifted and they gave us classic material in a sense, but they wasn't selling 4, 5, 6 million records. Wasn't going diamond in that sense. Because platinum at that time was a normal thing. And going platinum don't necessarily mean that you sold those records. They just were shipped, like doing inventory. If I work for such warehouse and I'm shipping towels to Walmart, I shipped it to them. They're out of my possession. So we're platinum now, whether they sell them or not. We get that. Nelly put a whole, but we understand that he put a whole city on the map. Very important. I'm not taking away from his importance, but that has nothing to do with a classic album or record sales. Nelly is who he is, and he's not, unfortunately, his name came up, but we're not going to make him the butt of the jokes because he did what he did. There's many artists who are less deserving. Nelly is Nelly. When you think of Nelly, you think of one man. And you're right. He put St. Louis on, came through, shook the whole game up, being himself. With the sing-songy joint. But the point of the argument or debate or whatever we're having, the discourse, we were speaking about record sales. And you said record sales were the reason why X and Puff are pretty much who they are. No, they made quality music too. That's where it starts. When we're talking classic albums, it starts with the quality of the music. Frankie Beverly and Maze wasn't selling a bunch of records. But let grandpa or auntie, uncle light up that grill. Them joints coming on. That's classic when I go back to it. That's a classic album. Yo, so you don't, hold on. Let me put this up here. Shiny suits no different than the Dapper Dan era. Okay. Are you opposed to the Bad Boy era? Let's start there because I'm not even sure because we never, at least on this platform, we don't really speak about that era as a whole because that's post Big. So we're talking 97, let's say 98-ish, 98, 99, because Mace dropped in 98, 99, Harlem World. Because listen, Diddy, Puff had a run. See what I mean? Like, you may not necessarily, you don't have to like the artist, but I don't think his run was contingent upon the record sales. His impact, the things that were happening around his label at the time, and they were able to persevere through all of that. You think people brought the records out of sympathy? I think they just like the Benjamins, fam. That's a classic that you go back and listen to. I'm talking about the music, you know what I'm saying? But it doesn't always have to. I don't think they are who they are because of the record sales. I think they were just putting out quality music. Come, the Hitmen, Puff had the foresight to put that together, a production unit. This is prior to Jay and them doing the Rock a Block or Lincoln Bank with Just Blaze and Kanye. Bad Boy was already doing that. Puff understood the importance of the little things, little nuances. So I think his successes, you can attribute it to hard work and planning. He earned that. I love the Bad Boy era. It only lasted for 2 years, to be honest. All right, so we'll give Bad Boy what? What years did we give him Bad Boy? What years did we give him Bad Boy? Because if you think about it, a lot of cats don't even get a 6-month run. You know what I'm saying? So 94 to 97, that's a hell of a run. That's a dynasty. That's 3 years. Yeah, because we took 94, Ready to Die. No. Ready to Die is 95. Am I correct? No. Ready to Die is 94, right? So we're going to do because remember, they were very strategic even with that. With the Ready to Die, a lot of the versions, like even I can't even think of the records. Bad Boy 93 to 2000. Yo, come on, son. 96 to 98. You're not gonna get Bad Boy 95? Didn't Flavor in Your Ear come out in 95? Yeah. Shout out to G Romo. Yeah. Flavor in Your Ear is 95. And listen, whether you whichever way you feel about Craig Mack, to this day, when that remix come on, it's different. One More Chance was 95, right? Yeah. Craig Mack, Flavor in Your Ear 95. And One More Chance, I think Ready to Die dropped 94, right? The One More Chance version that we love isn't even on the album. So we got to start thinking about those things too. How it's carrying over and carrying over. He's just building momentum. Big in 97, right? Passes away, right? Oh no, we got to get him 98 too. No Way Out is 98. Big died in 97, Life After Death. 98 is No Way Out. Puff was running the game. Even Jay said it on Every Day Is Stars Born, right? What do you say? Nobody had it quite like Puff had. Nobody can grab it when Puff had it. That's 98. Now, and I'm just being generous there because we can probably make an argument for the next 2 years or maybe 1 year, 99. Then no, Mace is what? What year is Mace? This is a great art. This is great. I like this because we got to get Puff his flowers. See, but no. See, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. This is great discourse though. We keeping it peace. Craig Mack got overlooked by Big. Name 3 songs from Craig Mack album. But Flavor in Your, we're talking about Bad Boy running. Flavor in Your Ear was such a big record to where, damn the album, son. Because we're not talking about him being an elite lyricist. We understand that he got overlooked, but whether he got overlooked by Big or not, Big was still on Bad Boy. That still contributes to their run. What's the name of the song? You know, Matt. What's the second on? The second single on Craig Mack's debut. No, he had a video for it. Max like the superintendent. Burning them seas. I'm like, what you call King of Yes, y'all? What's the name of that record, man? Can I get down? Get on down. Can I get down? That's on that album, right? Yeah. Listen, I know that it is Diddy is looked at as some. But I separate the two. Diddy and Puffer, that's two different things to me. You know what I'm saying? Like two different individuals. Puff and Bad Boy, son, it was different, man. That's a great point. Lucky left. When Big passed away, nah, Jay didn't take that. Because 97 Volume 1 came out. Jay still didn't reach his peak. 98, we got Volume 2. But 98, we also got It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Yeah, Rough Riders kind of. Yeah, Rockefeller didn't have a clean handle of the crown. It definitely wasn't a smooth transition. The Cats was outside. Dolly, My Baby, Super Cat, Big 1992. Shout out to Born King. What up, fam? That's 92? It is 92. Shout out to Super Cat. Yo. Shout out to Super Cat. So we're going back. And that was like around, well, that's like the Uptown Records era, right? Before he kind of got a situation, but they was laying the groundwork. But Bad Boy had a nice run, man. It just seems 3 years is a long time. To hold the mantle like that, they had it, man. They had it. They had it. Wait, Money, Power, Respect, and classic. Of course it is. Isn't Money, Power, Respect kind of like what introduced the masses to DMX? That's on the Bad Boy. '50s London. Yo, y'all killing the chat right now, man. These some very interesting some dialogue y'all putting in there. Ted Hill, shout out to you. Shine was what? His album dropped in 2000, right? Bad Boy had a nice run. That's my research for the night. Because first of all, what constitutes a run? France, what up, fam? Scope Maverick. Yo, Sheik don't talk. Nah, Sheik get busy. Sheik make very good albums, man. He may not give you those singles and iconic verses. I'm lying. He do got iconic verses. Yeah, Sheik got some fire verses. I'm talking about. But he may not get that appeal that Styles and Jada get. But I'm willing to rival that he makes just as good albums as Jadakiss. At least with Sheik, you know you're gonna get a sound. Jada not so much. Jada just throwing darts, whatever sticks. But if he would have got with Puff on the executive producer tip on a solo album, Jada would have, at the bare minimum, a classic album. Wow. Don't sleep on Bad Boy. Styles P makes better absolutely. When we a song, Styles P makes the best songs out of all of them. Jada is someone like, and I hate to talk like this because it's not like you're downgrading him in a sense. But if I need a quality verse, fire verse, like I know he's not gonna miss Jada. If I need a song from that crew, Styles. I think Styles makes the best songs out of those two. Loud Records. We need to have a discussion about them someday. Because that label, I think because the artists that are associated with it, people try to overlook it. Why? Because it wasn't a bunch of records sold. And record sales don't always mean classic albums. Because if you got the Wu, Mobb Deep, who else is on that label? We don't really got to say anything else. Because I know Raekwon's solo effort came out on that album. I think they distributed it. So, like, Loud Records, Steve Rifkin. Rawkus dropped the ball, though, man. Rawkus was chasing something else. They should have stayed in pocket. They had a nice thing going. Then they started doing, like, the Lyricist Lounge show and all this other stuff, man. I was like, nah, you're trying too hard, man. Regular voice style. So check this out. So I'm not bugging that his voice got kind of higher up in the register as time went on. Am I bugging? Because before it seemed as though he rhymed more from his stomach or his belly. Now it seems like he's rhyming from here. Am I tripping? Twista, nice. I love Twista's use of melody, man. So even when you can't really, may not be able to recite all his lyrics, he mastered that. Kind of like Busta in a sense, right? Busta's another name where I don't argue Busta in anyone's top 5. Nah, Fab ain't got no classic albums, but So Unto You is definitely. Now, hold on. This is a question I have, right? I know we got a bunch of questions. We've been on this joint for almost 3 hours. So you know you're having a good time. In the chat, just tell me, what is delivery? What does delivery mean to you? Because everyone seems to, because people kind of conflate the two, delivery and flow. What's the difference? Anybody know? The clarity and emphasis of the words being rapped. Okay. I like that. Voice and breath control. I'm gonna write all these down. Got some reference points, right? Yeah. Good eye. A lot of people believe your delivery is the flow. No, it's not the flow. That's two different things. So your cadence will have something to do with your delivery, correct? Yeah, Bone Thugs was on Ruthless Records. I don't know where they were later on down the road. See, Cormega to me is a great example of poor delivery. Great rhymes and words, but it's not delivered smoothly. So is that his flow? His flow? Like, is it a hitch in his flow? Because you can understand what he's saying as far as the voice and breath control, right? I don't think it's the clarity. Is it the flow? That's why I think that it's like all those work together. Flow, delivering. But yeah, you learn something new every day. But I'm trying to make that as easy as possible. Like when I think of it, I can kind of like pinpoint what exactly is delivery, and there a universal definition of it. Dre has great delivery, even though he didn't write his rhymes. So delivery can be your presence too, right? So how we deliver it, all of that works together. My breath control, the clarity, my presence on the track. That's the delivery. Now flow, it's how I'm in and out of pockets, which is kind of like a subset of a delivery. B.I.G. has cadence. Yes, he does. So if he don't rhyme, all right. If he don't rhyme on beat, that's a flow situation, right? That has nothing to do with delivery, right? I'm just asking. I'm not. No one's right or wrong. I'm just seeking. Want to make sure that we all, because when you having a discussion, we'll make sure that we all talking about the same thing. Got it. The flow could affect your delivery. Okay. Okay. All right. Your style should be factored into delivery because no one really has a criteria, right? We all know what flow is, but when we talking about uh delivery is different. I don't know. It's like no uniform answer. And I think we all trip ourselves up. Even when we're making our points, we're speaking about one thing, we really should be saying another thing, but we confuse each other. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Flow is syncopation and dexterity. Delivery is how it comes off. Hmm. I'm gonna run with. Let me write that down. Delivery is how it comes off. Shout out to Adriel Green. You know what? Just listening to or reading some of the comments, being an elite MC isn't easy, and it shouldn't be because there's so many boxes you got to check off. So when we saying such and such is top 5 and top, if they can't do, say if it's 5 and they're not checking off 2, because we know great lyricists who throughout their career never had great delivery. If we're going by the definitions that we mentioned, we have some dudes that have exquisite flow, but they mail it in 3 out of 5 times lyrically. True goats stay here at all times. I think finding the right pockets makes the delivery better. Yeah. That pocket is something. And when you find it, don't move from it. I think delivery is the entire package. Voice, flow, presence, timing, all of that. I think we all saying the same thing in different ways. Got you. Delivery. How you deliver the yeah. Silk the Shocker checks all boxes, man. I ain't messing with y'all. Silk the Shocker. Shout out to Silk the Shocker, man. Hope everything is going well with that brother. I heard some people. So Cormega, y'all wouldn't. So on a scale of 1 through 5, 5 being the best, how would you rate Cormega's delivery? Because someone said something in the. You know what? Nah, we're gonna go with G Roll Mo. Talib Kweli. Great. It's great lyrically, right? But his delivery ain't there. So how would you rate his delivery? Everyone here. 1 through 5. Talib Kweli. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. 2.5. One. All right, so he's halfway there. A 1. Wow. Is it because it sounds the same all the time? Like whether it's the blast, whether it's never been in love before, whether it's I cry, like it always sounds the same to me. So Mega, okay. So Great 88, you think it got worse? I don't listen to Talib either, but I've heard his songs. I think he's a bit. We're gonna get into that. No. But I don't hold him as high regard as a lot of people. I think he's been in a lot of quality songs with great MCs, and people remember him for that. But with regards to albums and stuff like that, I don't. I'm not really. And I bought his projects too.
He was snapping on the new Black Star album. Do you also like his verse on West Side Guns album 10? Okay. Shout out to Adriel Green once again. Jay doesn't really have a good rap voice, but he makes up for it with delivery. He enunciates the word a certain way and lets pockets breathe and beat. I think that'd be a perfect example on Rhyme No More, right? He found a nice little pocket and he stayed right there. Because it don't gotta be over lyrical, right? And sometimes when we say rap voice, could that be attributed to the success of a great engineer, which allows you to cut through? Does mixing have anything to do with a rap voice? Somewhat, because sometimes when we think of a rap voice, we think of being able to hear or like a command over the track or not fighting different frequencies or just being heard. Does an engineer aid in someone who doesn't have a great rap voice? Yeah. Yo, this chat is gold, man. Yo, y'all hilarious. JB stretching the hell out of words. What's your thoughts on Q Miller straddling the fence on working with Nas? I think he's dragging it. I don't even click on this stuff anymore, but it did come up on my recommendations. Whatever he's saying, initially he said that, he kept it a bean. Um, but now he's probably getting calls to speak about the same thing. So what other way is there to continue to get paid for interviews? To kind of like stretch it out, right? You don't got to be fully transparent. So you can kind of leave a gray area, right? As long as it's a gray area, you haven't really committed to either side, and you can keep getting them checks. Because he ain't doing no interviews for free at this point. Not when your name is attached to that caliber of an artist. I like this. This is a great way to look at this. Yeah, you need to command the track like you own the beat. Don't let the beat own you. Easier said than done, though, right? Well, if we're basing it off history, Hit Boy needs to clear it up. We even if Hit Boy does say something, Cat's gonna say, "Oh, he's just trying to save Nas." At this point, man, people who believe that never felt something like that anyway. They was just looking for a reason to hate. This Quentin Miller ain't got not one "I gave you power" on his whole hard drive. I don't even think he was born when that came out. So now you ghostwriting? Nah, when people write, I can come into a studio and play a piano progression. I will be considered a writer. I can hum something and it may turn into a part of the song. Depending upon if people are doing the correct business, they'll give me credit. So when did credit become a bad thing? Because if he didn't get the credit, we'll be saying how it's foul, yo. How he gonna go in there and work with that young boy? He got a family to feed, and he ain't even give him credit so he can get his back end. So you do get credit for contributing to a piece of work. We don't even know if it was um I don't know, an ad lib, a hook, whatever it is. And people still make an issue out of that. That's the problem with our culture, man, because we base everything on whether or not we, speaking generally, some people base everything on how we feel about an individual. And that's corny. You don't even know them personally, but they may have had a riff with your favorite artist, and now you've taken everything personal for the last 20 years. It's not that serious, dog. It's not. Vocal inflections help delivery to connect. I can dig that too. Yo, it's so many different pieces to like rhyming that we because this matters though. We don't delivery, all that's cool, but it starts with this because if you writing garbage, delivery don't even matter. But vocal inflections for sure. So that's kind of like, yeah, vocal inflections be kind of like cadence, right? Along those lines. It's like there's so many different subsets to each um different thing that we mentioned concerning writing or delivery or flow. But I'm learning so much today because it's good to see that people can like kind of explain it in to a certain degree. So when we're having a discussion, I know exactly what we're speaking of. But it's not easy though. It's not easy, and not many people can check all these boxes. Vocal and breath control. I think Nas's breath control got better since KD1 up until now. If you go back and listen to it, it sounded cool then because we were happy to have him back. But listen to it now and listen to KD3. Be like, oh yeah, he found himself. He found his he got his breath control back. Quentin Miller strikes me as a real yo, y'all going in on this guy. I ain't saying thug or gangster, but he just seems like a super punk. He just, I don't know, man. Between the other situation and this, got his name attached to two mega stars, and he's just gonna drag it out. Consequence said he ghost wrote for Jay-Z. Nobody said a word. No Vlad interview. No Dream Hampton tweet. Nothing. Sad. Shout out to Consequence. Queens. Consequence is nice too. But you know how this goes. And so if that's the case, we know what that's about. We know what that's about. But all these cats that say they do this and do that, they don't be having any of that in their catalog. Sad, man. Yes, sir. Katie Twitter. Are people acting like they don't hear someone singing pressure on that song? Someone is saying it, but that's what I'm saying. So if that's the portion that he wrote, why is there a problem? He got credit. Why are we stretching this out until he wrote like the 3 verses and go pressure? They gave him credit. If they didn't give him credit, will we call them shiesty businessmen? You just can't please people, man. Cat's just gonna be mad about everything. Young boy got paid. He getting his publishing. That's a problem. You don't pay him. You do some underhanded joint, and it's not ghost production if you're getting credit. Aren't ghost producers and ghost writers are those that get paid under the table and we know nothing about it? Your name is written there. What are we talking about? I don't understand it. Yeah, I think Nas is taking his career more serious now. I went to a New Year's Eve show at Radio City Music Hall, and I wouldn't say he forgot a bunch of lyrics, but it was some songs where it was like, yeah, y'all could have rehearsed that a little bit more. But now that I watched like some of the videos from his current tour, he's seen on it. Like, I'm on it. So everyone continues to evolve and grow, man. Take it more serious. Because if all else fails, right, you can always go on that road and perform those hits or your catalog. And we're gonna leave it here. Shout out to my man Brian Larkins. Why are we not having this conversation? KD3 and Magic are better than Black Album and Blueprint, and I'm dead serious. I'm gonna leave it there. That's gonna be the beginning of the next live stream. Make sure y'all put your comments in there. Make sure y'all like the video while y'all in here too, man. Make sure you like it so more individuals can see it. 2023, we're gonna go nuts. Have a good time. Who else is going to that February 24th? Who else is in the show? At the show? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. At the Garden, we live. Word up, man. So it's been about 3 hours, man. I enjoyed discussing everything with y'all. We talked about a little bit of everything, man, from lyricism to top 5 artists with classics, and does a relationship or a synergy need to be present between a producer and an artist to make a classic. You gave me some artists I should be listening to. I'm gonna do some homework. Difference between delivery, flow, cadence, and a host of other things, man. Had a great time chatting with y'all. Family, y'all be well, man. Don't forget to like the video. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. Be blessed, be well, stay safe, and go get yours. Yeah.